Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
It's time for Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome in to a Tuesday edition of Sports Time. I'm Bryant Dacus with Brett Norsworthy and Jay Morgan Harder. It's a cold and rainy, icy afternoon here in Memphis, but we'll try to get you through the next 3 hours. And Brett joining me, supposed to be in Oxford today and going to Ole Miss versus Kentucky tonight in Oxford, but he's not there. He's at home. I heard Arkansas kind of got the worst of it last night and into the early hours of this morning. But Brett, how are you holding up over in Arkansas?
Doing well, Bryant, but I tell you, in the last hour 15 minutes, it has really changed.
Mm-hmm.
I know Memphis is getting it as well, that kind of that slow drizzle of just straight ice, and we know what that does around here and how it's really changed things. And I hope I stay good with power as long as I can. If I don't, then I'll have to jump on the phone because it. And the Wi-Fi act nice, but so far so good on that. You're right. I was supposed to be in Oxford tonight for the 8 o'clock tip. We'll have that action right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM with pregame with David Kellum and Coach Mark Duke starting at 7:30 against Kentucky. And I badly wanted to see Kentucky because I don't know what the future holds for John Calipari. And Ole Miss and Kentucky don't meet every year. In Oxford, now, and I really don't know the scheduling model for the SEC. It's kind of random with that. So I don't know if they will be back next year when it sounds like John Calipari is going to be loaded next year and back to a powerhouse team. But, if it's another year or two and then you merge in Texas and Oklahoma, how that will affect scheduling, it could be a while before Kentucky's back. And to me, it just felt like this could be the last dance for Cal kind of in this area. It was so funny when he was coach at the University of Memphis, all those SEC places, Starkville, Fayetteville, Oxford, Knoxville. I mean, he would speak of them like it was just something on the bottom of his shoe. I mean, it was just with such derision. He gets in the league. Oh, people don't know about
That's
how tough
right.
it is to play it. Fayetteville, Oxford, Starkville, and Knoxville, and Auburn on a Tuesday night, and what the fan passion's like. And when he was at Memphis, he was saying and doing what he had to. He was playing to the red meat and kind of giving the fans what they wanted. And then at Kentucky and being the league guy that he now claims to be, and he is the longest serving coach. He has senior status among the current coaches. Mitch Barnhart, his boss, air quotes there, is the senior AD in the SEC, and second in coaching is the football coach at Kentucky.
Yeah.
So they really have the stability, but I'm not going to be able to be there, and Kentucky's heavily favored for a reason. It's not vintage Kentucky, and it's really bad. Ole Miss night, and the weather's really bad. We want to just be very, very, very conscious of the weather. Jay Morgan will give any updates we need to pass on, whether it's traffic or power or emergency services, anything like that. But this is one of those, and I hear the TV people say it, if you don't have to get out, don't get out. Well, a lot of people do have to get out. They got to go to work.
That's right.
If you're not going to work, don't get out because it's bad. It's going to get bad as it becomes nighttime, and we're getting just that steady dose, like very similar to last year's ice storm, and we've had a couple of these notorious ones in my life so far. I ain't heard a lot of limb breaking and things like that, but I don't think they can hold much more because it looks pretty iced up out there.
Yeah, and like you said, it seems like we're going to get a steady dose of this for the next 3 or 4 hours at least. And I'll be honest, when when I woke up this morning, I looked outside, the streets weren't bad. I didn't get out too much this morning, but on the way here, the streets were much worse than they were earlier today. And I slid a little bit on the way in, so definitely they're going to get worse as we get into nighttime. The temperature drops and we just get more steady doses.
You slid on the way in?
I did, yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
There's some parts that, and I don't know if it's just people don't travel on those roads a lot or if I was just not driving right or I don't know what happened, but I slid a little bit. It wasn't bad or anything.
That's
but
scary, though, nonetheless.
It was a little, yeah, for sure.
And this is one and we've had it before, and it's going to take time to kind of unwind it. This isn't just side streets.
No,
this is main drags that
Yeah.
are bad, and the black ice. I mean, you're rolling along pretty safe speed, and I mean, you hit that, and it's all bets are off. And right now, I don't know if I'd take that big loop over to kind of get out to East Memphis, head toward Wolf Chase on a dare right now.
No,
I don't know if I'd try to go over that.
No, like you said, I mean, if you don't have to get out, if you don't got to get to work or anything, I would say your best bet is to just stay at the house because it's getting bad out there and it's just going to get worse. Let me set up today's show real quick before we get into anything. At 3:30, we're going to talk to Dave Voloshin. He's the voice of the Tigers. You can also hear him every morning with Willow and Friends. We'll talk about those Tigers and their recent winning streak. At 4 o'clock, we'll talk to Brent Beard about some college football and a little college basketball. He's from First Coast News down in Jacksonville. We'll talk some Grizzlies at 4:30. Then at 5 o'clock, Bo Marchant is going to join us to talk about the NFL as we have the final two teams set, and obviously Pro Bowl week, so it's a little slower this week, but we'll talk about all that, some coaching changes, some offensive coordinator hires. We'll do what's trending at 5:30, and then 5:45 we'll talk about, or we'll end the day with Taco Bell Crunch Time. Brett, I know, obviously, not a lot going on, or I shouldn't say not a lot, not a ton going on in the NFL this week, like it usually is. But with the Pro Bowl coming up, we've had some additions to the Pro Bowl roster. And one of the biggest ones, Derek Carr, added to the Pro Bowl. What'd you think of that news?
I mean, they used to there's been a lot of different uniform styles through the years. At one time, they had just, Pro Bowl uniforms, and then kind of wear your helmet, their jersey, sometimes wear your helmet and your pants. What helmet would he wear?
I don't know.
But I mean,
the
divorce,
helmet.
the divorce with the Raiders, it's complete. And with it not really being a game, and it doesn't need to be a game. I mean, the Pro Bowl really lost its way. It used to really be tackle football, and it got away from that, and it probably should. Who wants to get hurt? No. Who wants to get hurt anytime, much less in that for whatever. And the money, that's kind of when it got away from being a real game, is that stipend to go to that game and get that winner's fee. To most of those guys, maybe not to all, but to most of those guys, I mean, that's not the difference between, making the mortgage payment or not. No. I mean, it's just not that major to them. But I'm sure it came as news that he got a call, but there's others, including the Ravens quarterback in the playoffs.
Yeah. Lamar Jackson, right?
No, Tyler Huntley.
Yeah, I know.
Got replaced, right?
Yeah.
Tyler Huntley is a Pro Bowler.
I mean, I was I don't know what I was more shocked at, Derek Carr or Tyler Huntley. Which one of them was more surprised to get the call?
Tyler Huntley had to be stunned.
We had 2 touchdowns this season.
And I think 1 rushing, right? I think 2
so
in the
3
air, 1
total.
rushing. 3
How
total.
about that? That's Pro Bowl
I just hope he has language in his contract that it's a bonus.
Yeah, gotta be. I mean,
who knew that? Also, when we talked to Bo Marchant at 5 o'clock, he is in Mobile at the Reese's Senior Bowl, so we'll get an update from him about that. But it's kind of slow Tuesday around the NFL. As slow as the biggest year-round sport as it gets, and it will only build from this point on. Today, I was looking at all the Super Bowl quarterbacks throughout all the Super Bowl games, and with the start, and now with Jalen Hurts being the starter for the Eagles, he will be the 4th different starting quarterback for the Eagles in Super Bowl games. They had Ron Jaworski, Donovan McNabb, Nick Foles. He was MVP, and now Jalen Hurts. No team has ever had 5. 5 other teams have had 4. San Francisco, Washington, the Raiders, and the Rams have different starting quarterbacks, whether in victory or in defeat. And we know in Kansas City, it's been 2. It's been Mahomes and Lynn Dawson.
That's impressive, though. 4 quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts, we talked about him yesterday. Jay's not a big fan of Jalen Hurts at all.
Jaws, though. I mean, you just named all those Eagles quarterbacks, Brett. I know who the worst one is, and he's starting this year.
Wow.
He's not worse than Nick Foles now.
Well,
Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, that's a great point by Brian.
And caught a touchdown in that game. And I was
forget
there.
about that.
Hey, if
that was on the other end of the field for me. I was dead in the opposite end zone of the Philly call.
That's exactly right. That's a great. Bryant's making my points for me at this point. No, if Jalen Hurts played like he did last game, though, the Eagles are going to have some trouble. He has to play a better game than he did in the conference championship.
But if the Eagles' defense plays like it did, like it has in the playoffs and the rest of the year, Patrick Mahomes better be 100%.
He better be. I don't know if they're. I mean, 2 weeks seems like a lot of time, but
For a high ankle sprain.
I've had a high ankle sprain before.
Are y'all ready
like
for
crazy.
my continuing debate in the now portal world?
I would love to hear portal talk.
In the SEC, of the current 14 teams in SEC, 7 have had starting quarterbacks in a Super Bowl game.
Okay.
7 have not. The 7 that's never had a starting quarterback: Arkansas, Texas A&M, Missouri, Mississippi State, South Carolina, Vandy, and Kentucky. The 7 to have starters: Alabama, Auburn, Florida, Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss, and Tennessee. Is this the 4th different starting quarterback from Alabama in a Super Bowl to go with Bart Starr, Joe Namath, and Kenny Stabler? Do they get to list Jalen Hurts as 4th starter?
I say
Bama?
No.
Why? You have to have a reason.
Well, we've had this conversation the past couple of weeks, and with the portal, I'm starting to think it's wherever you graduate from. Your last school that you played, that's the team that can claim you.
I think so too, Brian. I kind of think the last one you dance with is the girlfriend.
That's what I think.
So Tarek Black, a proud Kansas Jayhawk.
That's right.
Antonio Barton.
Proud Tennessee Volunteer.
I don't claim them.
Well,
Markel Crawford.
Antonio Barton and Tarek Black specifically are different because of the year in which they transferred.
Yes. That's true.
So Tarek Black has that graduate. He technically graduated
He did. You're
literally
right.
as a graduate of the University of Memphis. So it's a tough question.
Same thing with grad transfers. There's a lot of grad transfers out there that graduate.
And you got a diploma. That puts you ahead of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Whereas Jalen Hurts does not have an – he actually might – I'm going to look that up. He might have an Alabama diploma.
I don't know the answer to that.
Because that could change a lot of things.
Of course, Auburn's one starter was Cam. Florida's one starter.
And Jalen Hurts does have an Alabama diploma.
Okay.
So that changes
I
the
guess
debate.
Alabama
No
can
doubt.
claim him.
No doubt.
I can't argue against that.
And y'all know anybody in the world can join various schools' alumni association. You can be I could join. I guess I could join Harvard's alumni association. They probably wouldn't even have me if I sent in a check. But I could join. I am a member of the Ole Miss Alumni Association, and I have no degree from Ole Miss.
Well, especially metro schools like the University of Memphis or like famously the University of Miami. A lot of people that live in Miami did not graduate from the University of Miami. Those metro schools rely on that quite a bit.
And I could join the University of Memphis Alumni Association today, and the language in there is alumni and friends and things like that. But if you got a sheepskin, if you got, that puts you. So are we going to let Bama claim him?
I think we have to. If I walk into a doctor's office, right, and they have their diploma on the wall, and it says I went to the University of Mississippi, I'm gonna say they went to the University of Mississippi.
I'm going to find a different doctor. No, I'm just joking. It's just a joke. I love Ole Miss.
So, if I do that with random people and their diplomas, why I can't change my mind when it comes to athletes.
All right, Bama had Bart Starr, Joe Namath, Ken Stabler, and we're questioning Jalen Hurts.
Right.
We know he played there. We know he graduated from there, but we still have the debate. Auburn had Cam. Florida. Any guesses? I'm good for soft drinks during the next break in the lunchroom. Y'all name the Florida starter. Don't look it up, Jay Morgan. Don't look it up.
All his fingers going.
I was trying to do it fast. I have no idea who it would be.
Sexy Rexy Grossman.
Oh, Rex Grossman. How did I not get that?
For the Bears.
Oh, my God. I knew that. Played against Peyton Manning in that Super Bowl.
Sure did. Georgia with 2, Fran Tarkenton last year with Matt Stafford. LSU, not soft drinks in the break room. White tablecloth dinner, if y'all can name the LSU quarterback that started Super Bowl.
LSU quarterback to start a Super Bowl?
LSU.
Joe Burrow, right? Last year.
Well, they have 2.
Okay,
Who was the first one?
Who
was the first one?
I have
Who was
no
the first
idea.
one?
I couldn't even get Joe. I wouldn't even think about Joe Burrow, so I don't know.
David Woodley.
Would have never guessed.
What year did David Woodley graduate college?
He was at LSU early 80s, and he started the Dolphins-Washington Super Bowl that was in Pasadena, I think Super Bowl 17. He was kind of the bridge in between. It was Greasy, Strock, Woodley, and then Dan Marino. He was right before Dan Marino being the starter. He started, I think it was the Super Bowl of 83 against Joe Theismann in Washington. Ole Miss, Eli, Tennessee, Peyton.
You getting that year, Jay?
Yeah, it was Super Bowl. I'm bad with the Roman numerals.
I hate Roman numerals.
17. Yeah, for Super Bowl 17.
Well,
Joe Gibbs, head coach of the Redskins at that time.
And Joe Gibbs, I mean, what a coach. And he won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different starting quarterbacks. Joe Theismann,
wow.
Doug Williams, Mark Ripien. That's impressive.
That is impressive.
Joe Gibbs, better NASCAR executive than he is a football coach. That's not actually true, but he's a great NASCAR executive.
Guess
I don't watch the NASCAR.
Man, he won 4 Daytona 500s, Brett. He's been the champion. Now, he didn't do them himself, but he had the car that won 4 Daytona 500s.
So he was the owner, so he was the equivalent of Jack Kent Cooke claiming those Super Bowls were his when he owned Washington and Joe Gibbs was the coach.
I think the racing game is very different in that regard.
No,
I don't know, though.
No clue.
Who's Joe Gibbs' racing bunch? Is he in with with
right now, his drivers are Denny Hamlin, who drives the FedEx car.
Yeah.
Martin Truex Jr., who's been around forever. Ty Gibbs, who I think is his I believe it's his grandson.
Sounds like
and a fellow named Christopher Bell, who no one's probably ever heard of.
That's 2 good drivers up top, though.
I'm trying to find out who would have won his Daytona 500s. One of them had to be Denny Hamlin because he's won one in 2020.
Hamlin won a few years ago. I picked him to win.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
We need to start doing Daytona 500 picks again.
I sure did. Denny Hamlin, what number cars does he drive?
11.
Wow.
The 11 car, of course.
Yeah,
I knew it.
Mike Conley's number, exactly. So you guys got it.
This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis, the one and only Lexus dealership in town. It's at 2600 Ridgeway and they're online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-334-9673 for any service inquiry or any work. Give them a call. Great offers always on great 2023 models and always special leasing options. Driving luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2023 flagship LS500. You'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Wow, Brett, we have breaking news that's going to be my top story of the day. I'll just read it from Adam Schefter. Breaking: Saints and Broncos are finalizing compensation in return for Super Bowl winning head coach Sean Payton, sources tell ESPN. This clears the way for Payton to sign with the Broncos to become Denver's next head coach. And so Payton is expected to head to Denver as its next head coach.
Can I supplement your news?
Go for it.
The 2 potential packages are Denver's 2023 first-round pick and next year's second-round pick for Payton and a Saints third-round pick, or Denver's 2024 first-round pick and its 2023 first-round pick just for Sean Payton.
Wow.
So those are the 2 deals.
So my top story, Sean Payton to Denver.
He's worth all that, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Yes.
A good proven coach and adult supervision, the leadership that he'll bring is better than kind of throwing darts at whatever draft pick, isn't it?
I think so.
I totally agree.
I definitely think so.
Now, one thing that surprised me with that for the which Walton bought them, Rob, or was it Rob Walton?
I'll look it up. I know it's a Walton.
Yeah.
Whoever it is, anybody, any last name.
Rob Walton, you're right, Brett.
To spend that kind of money, because you know Sean Payton's coming in tuna style and Bill Parcells style.
Absolutely.
I run it all. Socks, jocks, player personnel, the whole building. I mean, down to the secretaries, down to the equipment guys, down to the clubbies. You spend that kind of money and you go, here, you have all the fun. You run it. Maybe that's why Walmart's been so successful.
Maybe.
They get really good people in. My top story, the Western, and my top and not top story is kind of thematic today on what appears to be wide open for both college and pro basketball right now. my top story, the Western Conference of the NBA, always rough. That 2-team separation in the West, well, it's happened. And maybe not as wide as it felt 10 days ago, but it's still pretty wide. I think Denver and Memphis are ahead of the pack, but they're not juggernauts.
No.
We got a good team here in Memphis. Fun, going to have fun with it. We know feels like into May, late May, maybe early June. But both can be caught, and both can be had in the playoffs. Both of those teams could lose a Game 7 at home.
Easily.
Easily. Our Game 1 at home. That then gives the other team de facto home court advantage. So they both can be had, and everyone remains conscious of two out there lurking, Golden State and the Lakers. They're always kind of out there until they're eliminated, until the TNT crew, Shaq and crew, has the gone fishing sign up for them. You better keep your eye on them. But right now, the Grizzlies are good. Denver's good. But I don't think parade routes and ring sizes should be had right now.
No, there's a lot of teams in the West that you should be worried about if you're one of those top 2 teams.
Oh, I have to play.
Yeah.
Not
That was your
top
sign.
story of the day.
I'm new here. I'm sorry,
it's okay.
guys.
You're learning. You're learning.
When we go silent, that's your cue.
Yeah, that's right.
My not top story of the day is this quote from Bubba Watson that came out today about a reason.
I've got live news today,
perfect.
too.
I love a little live golf news, but he says that one of the reasons he decided to join the LIV, the quote is, "My 10-year-old son was sitting in the bed with me, and we were watching golf on TV, and he knew the aces. Everybody knows the aces. They just keep winning. He knew the aces. He knew the stingers." And he goes on to say that his 10-year-old son, knows all these team names, but he doesn't know. He wouldn't go out and know a specific golfer on the PGA Tour, but he knows the teams. And since it's the team format, that the younger generation, the kids, are going to be more inclined to watch it because they can get a team. People watch the NBA and the NFL because they can grab onto a team, and they're going to do that with LIV. I disagree.
I do, too. You think Bubba Watson should have had the heart to be honest with his child and said, I did this for you and your grandkids and their grandkids. Y'all don't ever have to do a thing. Just stay out of jail and be a decent human. This is why I did it.
But, I kind of like all the excuses. I think it's fun to hear
Creative.
people. It is. People are using their creativity.
That's right.
Let's figure out a reason why I joined this without telling people it's just because of the money.
But they're not being candid. They're not being. No. They're lying.
Far from it.
The biggest truth teller was Pat Perez.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 46 years old. This is about over.
Yep.
I've been getting my brains beat out in California youth golf since I was 10 years old by a guy named Tiger. I had a big check come along, and I took it. I love Pat Perez.
Oh, yeah.
Which I love Pat Perez anyway. If I were a pro golfer, I'd want to be Pat Perez.
Wow.
Because you could have a real life, and it's been a good life.
Good life. That's
It's
a good
been real
one.
good. My not top story, college football always feels like it's a 3 to 5 team race from media day on. I mean, you pick. Okay, we had a little difference this year with TCU, but TCU didn't win it, so that wouldn't have been right. It always feels like the college football teams that are going to win it, and it does feel like college basketball is usually a little more wide open than college football, but I've shown in the 21st century it's been a lot more narrow than most would probably stereotype. But this year it feels wide open. Give me the team to beat right now. Give me the one that it goes through Team X for you to have one shining moment. I can't come up with that team. All are suspect. All are flawed. All look like about the same kind of teams. And look at the AP top 7. Purdue, UT, Tennessee, Houston, and Bama. That's the top 4. Mm-hmm. They've never won it all. Tennessee and Bama have never been to a Final Four. Purdue hadn't been to one since 1980. Houston's been one very recently, but they've never won one. They never won one with Phi Slamma Jamma. You get down to Arizona, they won it in 97, and they're always kind of a bracket buster. Virginia, they finally got one, but we know the travails with Virginia along the way in March Madness, and then Kansas State down at 7. I think as wide open as ever on January 31st.
I think you're absolutely right. I was looking, and we might talk about it a little later with the bracketology. A lot of the guys put out their updated brackets today, but I was looking at one of the bracketology today, and I was just looking through the different regions and the different teams that I forgot whose it was, but what teams they had where, and I was like, this is a tough region. This is a tough region. This is a tough region. This is a tough one. And I think it's because there is no clear cut. Who do you have to go through? It's any team can beat any team this year, it feels like.
And that will make doing the picking the bracket even
Extremely
more fun
difficult.
and more hard, and that's what makes it fun.
Mm-hmm.
And our next guest, Dave Woloshin, the voice of the Tigers, he has Mike DeCourcy on with him every Wednesday. Jay Morgan
today, Tuesday.
Tuesday. Had him today. Yeah, I heard him today. I'm sorry. And I love Mike. I think the preeminent college basketball writer out there. His bracket out today. And he has that 8-9 game. He has Memphis and who, with the winner getting Tennessee.
Ooh, be tough.
Bring it on.
Do you
How
have it,
good
Jay?
would
Memphis
that be?
and Michigan State.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Give me that every day.
St. Izzo, who's won it once and hadn't won it since 2000.
Yeah. Oh man! Then you play. If you beat Izzo, then you play
you get
Tennessee.
Rick Barnes.
Oh,
That
man.
would be one of these rest your laurels on that. If you win that game and then lose in the second round, they'll talk. Tiger fans will talk all summer about how they beat Tom Izzo in the first round.
And then
What
if you
about
beat
in the
Rick
next
Barnes,
game?
Oh,
Well, then that's a whole different story.
another
Is
one.
then you'll say that the Tennessee program is the better program in the state, and they'll be like, based on what? They haven't been to any national championships. I'm sorry, I shouldn't mock.
Phone lines,
Okay.
text line,
Oh,
even
melted.
Twitter melts.
oh, absolutely. It would be insane.
That's great for us.
It would be fantastic. I would love it.
Again, I am Homer Brett because it makes better stories. It makes
right.
better radio.
Make your job more enjoyable.
What would y'all rather be doing right now? Talking about a 16-5 Memphis Tigers? Is that right? 16 or 17-5?
I think 16's
16.
right.
17-5.
17-5. More fun to be talking about a 17-5 Tigers or a 12-10 Tigers.
17-5 is a little more
No
enjoyable.
doubt.
Although everyone's
doubt.
really angry when they're 12-10 and screaming and yelling and firing everybody,
Firing
and
everybody.
ADs and coaches.
and it's talk radio's fault.
That's right.
That's right.
That's
They're
when
the
it's
ones that
best.
do it.
Is
You're
when it's
right.
talk radio.
Maybe when they're worse, it's better for us.
And Bryant, to be consistent, be fair, you know what I say last summer. Tennessee's going to be good. It makes doing radio around
You
here
did.
more fun.
And you said that during football season, too.
And no Tennessee fan am I.
No, you're far from it. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. On the other side, we'll talk about that 17-5 Tiger teams with Dave Woloshin.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing is now currently hiring all positions. If you're ready to take your career to the next level, please apply today. Choate's is offering huge sign-on bonuses to seasoned technicians, plumbers, installers, and air duct cleaners. At Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing, we offer a career, not just a job, by putting you in a paid training program to develop your technical and customer service skills to best serve our customers. Choate's offers top pay in the Mid-South, weekly pay, paid vacation and holidays, company matching retirement account, health, dental, vision, and life insurance, and Christmas, Thanksgiving, and birthday bonuses. If this sounds like an exciting opportunity for you, then we should talk. So call us at 347-8086 or apply online at choateshvac.com under the careers link. Come, join our family.
Milk, eggs, $42. Ma'am, you okay?
Need bucks? With Jackson Hewitt, don't wait weeks for the IRS to send your tax refund. Come in now for up to $3,500 with a no-interest, no-fee refund advance loan when you file your taxes. That's up to $3,500 today. Don't let high prices get you down. When every dollar matters, it matters who does your taxes. So get to Jackson Hewitt today. For eligible clients, loans by Republic Bank and Trust Company. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know: Binswanger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Binswanger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Binswanger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood, across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit binswangerglass.com. Binswanger Glass.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
It's been a long time coming, but finally Sunrise on Jefferson has a sister restaurant, Sunrise East on Poplar. There might be days when you can't get all the way to Sunrise on Jefferson, so now you can swing by Sunrise East and get the best breakfast and lunch in Memphis, just like the original. Sunrise East is the place for fast, fresh, delicious food prepared just for you. It's the same laid-back atmosphere, the same cheerful staff, and the same wonderful food, only closer to those of you that live a little further east. Finally, there is Sunrise in the East.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you. And now we're going to talk to the voice of the Tigers. You can also hear him every morning right here with Woolo and Friends. Dave Woloshin joins us now. First off, Dave, thanks for joining us. Second, what was that Tulsa game like? At halftime, it was a little scary, a closer game than I think a lot of people expected, but they turned it around in the second half, kind of dominated there late, and got another win during this win streak.
I think sometimes you have to make your own energy, and I can remember years, particularly when the Reynolds Arena first opened, there were good crowds. Mm-hmm. And, Frank Hayes had a few good years there, took the team to 2 NCAA tournaments. They took a share of the title one year. People got excited. They're not excited in this new era. Nothing against Coach Kunkel. He's new. He did a good job at Louisiana Tech. He really did. But he's got to bring his own people in. He's got to build a new system. They played like maybe 2 sets of zone defense. Mm-hmm. So that's totally different than what we're used to seeing. And they're not used to playing that because they're used to Frank's matchup zone, and there's nobody in the ballpark, right? Nobody. It was a cold, gray day. And, in fact, we're starting to get this sleet stuff. They got it so bad this morning that they had to close everything up in Tulsa. We're glad we got out. But they didn't have a lot of people there. And I think Memphis, which has had a habit of doing this the whole season long, played to the level of their competition. Mm-hmm. And the second half started out, again, it was a little slow in building it, but once they got it going and down the stretch, they went to their horses. And that's the beauty of this team. This ball club recognizes who the bread and butter really and truly are.
They know who they are.
And they get out of the way. And that's down the stretch. All the points were scored. pretty much by DeAndre Williams and by the man, and that would be Kendrick Davis.
And Dave, I think when a team knows who they are, recognizes their assets, their liabilities, the deficiencies, I think that's an adjunct. I think that is a direct correlation back to being well coached. If you run in the tall sweep, keep running the tall sweep. If you know who you are and you're kind of Kendrick Davis, DeAndre centric, there's no need to deviate too widely from that. Early in the year, we were talking about a big three. Well, we know it's just really been a consistent big two. But darn if I don't think a third's developing, and I think there's a couple challenging for that.
Well, aren't we really now in an era of big two? Like the big three is no longer a thing? Seriously.
Yeah.
NBA, collegiate. I think if you've got two guys that you can rely on night in, night out, and then somebody fills in that third scorer role, everybody knows what their role is in setting up the offense and in playing defense. And that is what is going to be, I think, successful. And you can go every level. I think that's the way they're modeling what the formula truly is. I talked with Penny. I don't think I mentioned it on the show. It was on his TV show. And I said, because, now he's got 100 wins. It's really 102 unofficially, 101 by NCAA standards. I said, what would you do? Because he had brought up that really good team with Wiseman when they were freshmen, Precious. Lester was just coming in. Boogie's on that team. Boogie's really fun to watch if you've watched any USC games. And I said, how would you do differently? How many wins would that team have? And he goes, well, the first thing I would do is I wouldn't bring in that many guys. I've learned my lesson. I want one or two 5-star guys, and then I want portal guys and role guys. And that's what his new thing is. And he's going to have Mikey Williams and J.J. Taylor and his kid. So you got a 5-star and 2 4-stars. He's going to bring in portal guys next year. I think he's learned his lesson. And the other thing about Penny, I don't think it can be disputed. It's just like Cal. As his teams get into the end of December, January, and February, that's when they really start to play, when everybody seems to accept their roles.
I think you're absolutely right. And one of those guys that's kind of stepped up, especially in conference play, Keontae Kennedy's been playing really well lately. What have you liked from him?
One of my suspects
and
for emerging three.
A lot of people talk about what he's brought offensively. I thought he's done a good job defensively as well.
I think he's done an okay job defensively.
Mm-hmm.
I think he started hitting threes. And once you start hitting threes, now the rest of your game is better. He felt, and Kenny talks about New Year's Day, the bad game they played at New Orleans against Tulane. And he talks about there was some chemistry issues that were starting to go on. I think one of those was Keontae Kennedy, because in was coming DeMarie Franklin, who, unfortunately, as we've learned now, and the Tigers are playing him differently than they did in the beginning. He's really a power forward, even though he's 6'3", and so that's the way they're playing him, and I don't think he's going to be a great factor on this team. I still think he'll deliver a little bit more than he's given now, but especially when Alo comes back, I think his minutes are going to be more and more diminished. But I think Keontae Kennedy felt like he was getting the raw end of the deal. And, once Alo went out, he found his own niche. He's become a guy that can defend a little bit, but he's got to be a guy who will cut. And if the shot isn't there on the cut, get to a spot where you can be a spot-up shooter. And his percentages have gone way up in conference play. So he's found his niche. The other guy, and, I heard you in the background there, Stats, talking about third guys. I think some weeks, some days, it'll be Elijah McCadden, because he can do a lot for you. He
By
can
committee
rebound.
Third guy.
Yeah, and he's a good defender now. He's a good rebounder. He's a good defender. If you'll notice, he started to take on the best wing player that the opposition has.
Dave, this next comment of mine, it could be viewed as overheated, heat of the moment, but I think for a lot of factors, it is. I want your input. I want you to reject it if you think if it's not correct. I think Saturday will take the best performance of the year to defeat Tulane And I think Saturday is the most important game of the year because time of year, revenge, conference, all that good stuff. I think Saturday you got to match best performance in biggest game of the year.
I think it's a huge game because you lost to this team. And you lost to this team in what Penny has said is the worst game his team has played all year. I think because their net is pretty good, it's got to be the bigger games are going to be the Houston games. There's no doubt about it. And I think the UCF is another big game in there because they lost to UCF too. I think all four of those games are maybe equally important. Mm-hmm. This one is huge because it's the next one.
Because it's next.
And you're flirting with getting ranked. Gary Parrish has Memphis 25 in the CBS.
Clayton Collier voted him 25 this week in AP.
There you go. I did not see, but they didn't make 25.
No. But it kind of mathed out to 38. Is that right?
Around there, yeah.
So they're starting to flirt with that, and I'll say this: Tulane's a good team. Ron Hunter's a good coach. Tulane, with the way they play and the athleticism they have, they can get you. But they lost to Tulsa, for goodness sake. So they're not unbeatable, and their net's not where if you lose it won't kill you, but you lost to them already. You got to beat them because you still have a chance to win the American Athletic Conference Championship. So it's a critical game. This is not a game like at Tulsa or SMU where you couldn't lose because of their net. I still think at this moment in conference, the win at Cincinnati, they were the underdogs in that game. That was a huge win for me.
I think you're right. Dave, one thing I've been wanting to ask you about, because, you're right there and you interact with these coaches all the time, but just Frank Haith being on that staff, there's three instances that come to my mind immediately. There was the play against Temple late where the drawing up of the play for Kendrick Davis to get that last-second shot. He was in there drawing that play up. When McCadden, I think it was a couple games ago, he had 3 fouls early, really quick in the first 3 or 4 minutes, and he's yelling at Penny, letting them know McCadden has 3 fouls. And then over the weekend, Kendrick has 3 turnovers early, and Frank Haith is letting Penny know, hey, he's got 3 turnovers. We need to get him out of there. Kind of talk to him for a second. How big has that been kind of their relationship with each other, Frank Haith and Penny Hardaway, and to have a veteran head coach and a coach that's been in this league and in this conference for so long as your lead assistant?
Well, I think it's phenomenal. Honestly, Penny's had good assistant coaches. Larry Brown was instrumental, maybe not so much in games as he was in prep, and in practice he was amazing. I think Penny is really listening to Frank. It's interesting you bring up the removal for all of 38 seconds of Kendrick Davis in that Tulsa game because he was awful to begin with. He missed his first 3 shots and he had 3 turnovers right off the bat. And Penny took him out. And I thought, okay, the guy's going to sit for a couple of minutes. And then the next thing I know, the next dead ball, which is literally 38 seconds later, he's back in the game.
Right back in there.
And guess what? He never came out again.
He's great after that.
39 minutes and 22 seconds in that game. So, no, I think, I don't know if Frank told him to take him out, but I know he was telling him he had to get his attention. And basically, I asked Penny about that after the game. He said, I told him, you're just settle down, man. You're trying to do way too much. Let the game come to you. And then apparently he really chewed out, Penny did, both DeAndre and KD at halftime for not being leaders and not taking over the game when they should and not figuring out exactly how the game should be played. So he challenged them, and obviously – they answered the call. The play at Temple, it's interesting. Here's what Penny had to say. Because I asked him, and many people have thought that Frank drew up that play. So what happens is they're sitting on the bench, and Penny says there will be guys that suggest plays. Penny I forget what he was doing at that point. I think he was going to see a ref, his attention was diverted because the referee called him over to tell him instead of a sideline inbound, it was an underneath inbound, which actually helped. He had to change the play. So when Frank was drawing up a play, it was a different play. It was for a sideline inbound.
Oh, wow.
And then Penny changed that play to the play that they threw, which was an option. It was either the option one was KD or the other was on a slip, which would have been open had they played KD differently. They were going to DeAndre Williams. So one of those two were going to get the ball, and that was Penny who had to draw it up. And Penny said, I had like 8 seconds to figure that out because it changed the inbound.
Wow. That was 8 seconds to draw up a great play, and it worked out for them. But, Dave, we're going to let you go. Obviously, a week off for the Tigers, and they'll be back in action at home against Tulane on Saturdays. Hopefully that will be another win for the Tigers.
All right, Dave, a whole lot of housekeeping here. I'm with you tomorrow. Next week, I know you travel on Tuesday to Tampa for the game on Wednesday against South Florida. It's a 6 p.m. game. I know you go on the air at 5. Any way we could grab you next Wednesday at 3:30, or do you want to get closer to that time before we do all this housekeeping?
Let me figure out what our logistics are
when
I know where we are in Tampa, and I will try absolutely to accommodate that. I love chatting with you guys. You know it. So we'll work on that, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'm assuming you will be in Forest City tomorrow because the way these streets are starting to – today we were way overblown. Man. Today, the trees look beautiful, and the streets look beautiful, too, because there was no ice on the streets.
Yeah.
But now I'm looking out my window here. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah, it's getting bad out there, Dave.
It looks treacherous.
It's
be careful going home, Brian and Brett. Don't leave Forest City.
I haven't. I'm here as we speak.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank
Dave.
you, man. Thank you, Dave.
You got it.
Dave Woloshin, voice of the Tigers. Like I said, you could catch him every morning with Wolo and friends. But we need to get to a break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Sports Time.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
It's been a long time coming, but finally Sunrise on Jefferson has a sister restaurant, Sunrise East on Poplar. There might be days when you can't get all the way to Sunrise on Jefferson, so now you can swing by Sunrise East and get the best breakfast and lunch in Memphis, just like the original. Sunrise East is the place for fast, fresh, delicious food prepared just for you. It's the same laid-back atmosphere, the same cheerful staff, and the same wonderful food, only closer to those of you that live a little further east. Finally, there is Sunrise in the East.
The new year is here. Time for a change. Start a recession-resistant new career in the high-demand IT field with My Computer Career. In just months. Already in IT? Build your cybersecurity skills and prep for thousands of open positions employers nationwide are desperate to fill. Attend classes live online or on campus. And financial aid is available to those who qualify, including the GI Bill. Make this your year. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. That's mycomputercareer.edu.
What does it feel like to file with TaxSlayer and get your guaranteed maximum refund? It feels like the last level of a video game, facing off against the final boss who stands between you and your refund.
All your refund has belonged to me.
Using the power of TaxSlayer like a secret power-up he doesn't see coming.
Only the most tax-confident can defeat me.
Throwing your laptop at his video game face and watching him crumble into a giant pile of shiny coin tax refunds.
Oh, not fair. You use TaxSlayer.
Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
It's time to discover new roads in the new year at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. Get ready to blaze new trails in the 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport. We Gossett at $359 a month or buy for just $26,350. Gets 29 MPG highway. Or get ready to take your pick from 2022 Outlander or 2023 Eclipse Cross for just $399 per month. And you'll always get peace of mind in your new ride with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport, $359 per month. 2022 Outlander or 2023 Eclipse Cross, $399 per month. You won't go wrong ever when you shop Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop online at memphismitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it and got CPU 02100, MSRP 27100, Outlander NZO 84912, MSRP 32250, Eclipse PC 004373, MSRP 33335. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax on a license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month. Dealer stock only.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time as we're about to wrap up the first hour on this Tuesday edition. Bryant Dacus with Brett Norsworthy and Jay Morgan Harder. And we talked about some coaching news earlier, as it looks like Sean Payton is going to be the next head coach for the Denver Broncos. And right when we went to break, before we talked to Dave Voloshin, more coaching news, as it looks like DeMeco Ryans is going to be the next head coach for the Houston Texans. So a big get there. That was actually a team he played for when he was a player, so he'll be going back to Houston. So
I think he was drafted by them.
He was,
yes.
And that was early in their early stages of them coming in. Maybe even first year, very, very, very popular player at Alabama. I've told this story 100 times. I'm going to tell it for the 101st time. In the 2006 season, he was a rookie with the Texans, and he was home, as a lot of college players are wont to do, on their open date back in Tuscaloosa. And this was Mike Shula's last year at Tuscaloosa. And in 2005, Alabama was really good. Went to the Cotton Bowl, won double-digit games that year, broke the long streak against Tennessee. And DeMeco Ryans was a big part of that. But he was back, and it was flat as a pancake atmosphere-wise. I was at the game against Duke. They were behind at halftime. I mean, lustily booed when they went to the locker room, and it was directed at Mike Shula, but the players got it. And the story goes that at halftime, Mike Shula, a really good man, but he wasn't very emotional. It was very technocratic, the conversation at halftime, and he's kind of Xing and O'ing, and the locker room's flat, and a couple guys are kind of over messing around, clowning around, and DeMeco Ryans goes crazy. I mean, throws over a chalkboard, starts raising hell in the locker room, and said, "This doesn't get it." And he pointed at the coaches. He goes, "Y'all don't get it, and this attitude doesn't get it." And they came out and played really well in that second half. So he's kind of been a coach for a long time.
Love that for a locker room. Nothing better, really.
Well, when it comes to DeMeco Ryans hired for this job, my friends and I were talking about it a while ago. Remember all the nonsense last year about wanting Josh McCown? They all want Josh McCown. Guy's never coached a day in his life. When you got this former great Texan linebacker, coaching on one of the best defenses in the NFL, behind Robert Saleh, comes in there. It seems like a no-brainer and a home run hire to me.
Too.
And Jay Morgan, I know with NFL head coaching hires and the horrible track record it has of hiring minority African-American coaches that it has, I know that was kind of the story. I think I think last year was a different discrimination along those lines. Even though they ended up hiring a defensive guy, I think the young defensive guys have a tough time of any ethnicity, and I don't think that's fair. Get you the best football coach, and I think hiring a defensive guy, whether it's pro or college, there's a lot more of those offensive whiz kids out there that you can find to run an offense than you can to get that defensive guy to be that stable figure in your for your franchise or for your program in college. And example is Robert Saleh with the Jets. He's got that turned around.
Quarterback away. Yeah. And I totally agree with you. I sit here every day right after Johnny Radio's done, Colin Cowherd comes on, and he doesn't understand hiring defensive coaches. He goes, "It's offensive football."
Everybody wants that next offensive mind.
You throw it over the middle of the field. You can't touch any of these guys. You need an offensive coach. Otherwise, your offense is going to be bad.
You can find one everywhere. You can find that offensive whiz kid anywhere. All right, let's look in college football. Who are the best two coaches right now? Kirby Smart and Nick Saban, right?
I agree. Yeah.
Everybody agree?
Yeah.
Well, their proficiency, their expertise, defense.
It's a good point. But I mean, it's just
and special teams. For Nick Saban, the special teams guy too. Nick was special teams, and another special teams, Bill Belichick. So that's
defensive guy.
So maybe start hiring more special teams guys.
I think
Judge.
you can find the offensive quiz kid a lot easier than you can that rock, and that's what D'Amico Ryans is. He's a rock. Now, I said it last week. Me and you and Gabe were talking about it, and I said it last week. I got his future planned for him. He's going to win for about 2 or 3 years, paralleling to the end of Nick Saban, and you talking about a historic hire.
Whoa.
If Alabama hired him, first of all, you're replacing Nick Saban.
Yes.
That would grab New York Times headlines. An African-American head coach at Alabama.
That'd be massive.
And so I want him to go in and be in that mix. And I made the point last week. Bama has a rich history of turning to NFL types. Nick Saban, I know it was a college type, but they hired him from the Dolphins. That's unmistakably the NFL. Mike Shula was largely a pro assistant. Gene Stallings had just been head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. I know way back he'd been coach at A&M, and they hired Ray Perkins to be the successor of Coach Bryant straight from the New York Giants.
So it's going to – I mean, you talk about winning. I mean, how many years does Nick Saban have left, do you think?
Well, we'll ask our next guest
that. That's a good question.
We'll ask our next guest that because I mentioned it yesterday. It's happening. He's being turned down on these coordinator roles that used to people would be lined up around the block. To have that on their resume. Nick Saban, coordinator. And because that was the easy ticket into a next big job.
Oh, absolutely.
The Nick Saban Rehabilitation Center is what we call it nowadays. But another defensive coach, Brett, I wanted to make sure and look up. Definitely he was a defensive coordinator first. My favorite coach in the NFL, Mike Tomlin. So you're in good company if you're a defensive coach in the NFL.
Well, and you know where Mike Tomlin coaches.
AFC North, baby.
A different kind of football.
That's right.
But here's the thing. I mean, with D'Amico Ryans with the Texans, I mean, it's going to take a couple years to turn that ship around.
Well, they got a great quarterback. Do not sleep on Davis Mills.
You're the only person that says that because everyone else thinks they're going to draft a quarterback.
But they have no talent around the guy. What are you going to do with another quarterback?
Just telling you.
They could be Little Bama with D'Amico Ryans and Bryce Young.
Wow, that's right.
How about that?
Have D'Amico Ryans coach the former Alabama quarterback, then go take over at Alabama. That would be something. But that's all the time we got in this first hour. So we're going to take our end of the hour break. When we come back, we'll talk about this subject, I'm sure, some Alabama and other college football news with our next guest, Brent Beard.
I pay for you 'cause you're my favorite tree. You're my everyday Valentine.
Hey Memphis, this is Johnny B at the Memphis Music Room. Join us on Saturday, February 11th for Terrence Love, Lessons on Love, with special guests, Lena J.
Because of you, I never lose sight of what is real.
Ariel Rain. And Tim Walker with Can't Keep Chasing.
Said I'd rather have you than gravity, 'cause you keep me lifted, and that makes a difference. That makes a difference.
If you're looking for something special to do on Valentine's Day with that one that you love, you've got to be at Lessons on Love with Parents Love. February 11th, Saturday night. Get your tickets at memphismusicroom.com.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Forte PE 573, MSRP 21335, K5 LSX 0099 18857, MSRP 26805. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/28/2023 with approved credit. Dealer stock only. Warranties a limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Hey, Jeff, my man, are you ready to almost give away some new Kias today to start the new year off right at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah?
You bet I am, Randy. How about 41 MPG Highway and your new 2023 Kia Forte LXS, only $254 a month. 36-month lease, $27.99 due at sign.
Hey, Jeff, how about that new K5? That thing's awesome.
We got it at just $319 a month. 36-month lease, $31.99 due at signing. Plus, with all your new Kias, you know you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. And if you don't see exactly what you want, I'll order it for you, and you won't pay over MSRP at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah. So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah or KiaMountMoriah.com.
Getaway Sports Bar, the best-kept secret in town, open noon to 1:30 a.m. 7 days a week. Garvin, the owner, created this SEC NFL Dream Bar over 20 years ago. You'll never miss a minute of action. 10 TVs, 5 70-inch TVs for all the big games. Rack them up on 6 pool tables. Coldest beer in town, grab you a pool stick and get you some good bar grub. 100% Angus burgers, big and moist chicken tenders. Daily happy hour Monday through Friday, 2 to 6 p.m. with long neck domestics, $2.25. Getaway Sports Bar, 4632 Winchester.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253 DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus with Brett Norsworthy and Jay Morgan Harder. And joining us now from First Coast News down in Jacksonville, Brent Beard, our guy on college football and college basketball. Brent, we just had a discussion to end our first hour about the hiring of D'Amico Ryans with the Houston Texans, and Brett brought up a good point of maybe, just maybe, D'Amico.
I got his whole future laid out.
He did. He said maybe he coaches for the Texans for a couple of years, and then he's the successor for, you got it, Nick Saban.
Well, he is beloved in Tuscaloosa, so... And that thought's been bounced around, I believe, a little bit. I think everybody thinks D'Amico is ready for the head coaching job. So that would certainly be an interesting thought. Now, of course, the reality of it is, will Nick Saban be ready in 3 to 5 years in order to retire and go to the television booth, or will he still be going strong then? That's a good question.
Yeah, but Brent, we know this, and we know, and we a lot of the ultimate, always the comparisons of Coach Saban to Coach Bryant because of where they are and what they've attained, and we also know that his entering the 2023 football season and will turn 72 during that season, that he's a lot better fit and a lot better health than arguably Coach Bryant probably was at 62. And certainly in those last 2 or 3 years. That's not to assail anyone, but I think most would agree with that. But we also know at 72, you can get disinterested real quick. I mean, you're really kind of working on your schedule. They've never told him no, but the first big no could be, okay, here's the key.
Well, I think the other part of it is how much and how quickly he is able to figure out the NIL and all these other things that have popped up now that weren't around, even 5 years ago, much less 10 years ago. I mean, his energy is good, and I've always said the litmus test for him is going to be in recruiting. If they've got a number 10 recruiting class, the number 1 recruiting class, that's going to be what tips us off into that he is going to be ready to be able to hang it up. But I don't have any doubt that these two coordinator hires are going to be really key for him as he reboots one more time.
It feels like the Jeremy Pruitt Mountain's too tall for Alabama and Coach Saban to climb. That's not going to happen. He has been turned down. We know by the Washington offensive coordinator today. That also happens when that assistant coaching world fraternity, when they think you might be getting ready to go, they don't want to move cross country and set up and maybe something's changing in December.
I'm curious, and we may never know what happens with that, but I'm curious as to why. Because look, this guy's has been lauded and applauded and well thought of. Has done a great job at Washington in the short time that he has been there. I mean, there are just a number of things going on there too. I wonder if the family they didn't want to move, what kind of counter offer to get from Washington to go along with all this too. So
he's got a better quarterback coming back at Washington next year on paper than Alabama has.
Look, their quarterback, people haven't really been able to look at him yet. He is easily one of the better quarterbacks anywhere. Michael Penix. I mean, he is tremendous. And look, he's the kind of guy that would be the missing piece for a lot of these top 5 and top 10 schools that would very well lead them to the promised line. So yeah, quarterback's not even close.
I think you're right. But what about a guy like I saw somewhere? I forgot where I saw it today, but maybe a Jeff Lebby at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Do you think he could be a candidate for that position?
I think his name's been mentioned several times. Yeah. Frankly, I mean, I thought he did a good job at Ole Miss. Brett can tell us more about that, but it's
great job. 5-star.
Yeah.
Great guy.
And likes Oklahoma, has a lot of ties to Oklahoma too.
I think that's his alma mater.
It is, and now there are probably the defensive coordinator situation basically has been either Glenn Schumann, Jim Leonard, or Jeremy Pruitt. Leonard being from Wisconsin, it's a lot more iffy as far as that offensive coordinator situation is going. I mean, you hear everybody from Scott Frost to Joe Brady. Mullen took his name out of it. That's probably just as well. I don't see Cliff Kingsbury doing it at this point either. So that's the one that may not be as cut and dry as the defensive coordinator.
Brandon, it is. You're right. It is Jeff Lebby's alma mater, and I'm not saying this is the case or not. I don't know, but fans, media, we like that alma mater going back home story a lot more than sometimes they actually do. And I remember when Mike Riley had a shot to be the Alabama coach, and he said, I truly have not been on campus since the day I graduated, almost 30 years ago. I mean, I've been out coaching. I don't go back for reunions and homecoming. And he was from somewhere in Oregon, wasn't he? He said I spent 4 years of my life there, and I don't mean this to criticize anyone. Everybody doesn't love the old alma mater in Old State U like you did, and like some do.
Well, and I think another thing too is there are a lot of guys who, and let's be honest with this too, there are guys who salivate to coach in the SEC and get to the top. And there are others who really don't want anything to do with that. That's hard for people to understand, but they really don't. I mean, they're comfortable where they are. Their family loves it. They know that they can have some success there. And I tell you what, you think about this a little bit too, guys. When we expand these playoffs, I mean, the thing that everybody is going to be able to say now, regardless of what region you are, is that you come up with a good team, you've got a shot. You may not go far, you've got a shot at making the playoffs, and that's everybody's goal.
That's right. You know, another team that fired their offensive coordinator, or I guess is looking for an offensive coordinator, is Miami. And that's kind of a team that a lot of people were excited about what that team could be last year, didn't really meet expectations. Where do you think they turn to kind of get that offense buzzing next season, 2023?
I had them 10-2 last year, Brent. I missed badly.
Well, look, I think
I thought the U was back.
The U's back
for the 18th time.
Yeah, we all thought that would be better. But look, that's a bigger rebuilding job than anybody can frankly ever imagine. And I know
bigger
about
than
all
the Gators.
It would. You could rebuild Florida quicker than you could Miami, I think. They're
well, we're going to see because they both got the starting gate at the same time.
Well, yes. Miami's problem is multifold. They don't have the facilities they want. They need the football-only building. They really need a stadium in the nearby the University of Miami, but that probably, I understand that they're almost landlocked. That's hard to do that. The other thing is they just don't. This is amazing for where they are, but they really don't have the talent there they need now. Cristobal, they hired him because he's such a good recruiter, and is all that going to be able to come together? Now for Brian's question, they're looking at, or certainly has been suggested, Ken Dorsey used to play there, who's the Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, who pretty much everybody wants, the Buffalo Bills quarterback coach, Scott Frost has been mentioned, Ohio State offensive coordinator, wide receivers coach Brian Hartland, and then Jason Candle from Toledo. Those are just some of the names. Clint Trickett's name's been mentioned, the former FSU quarterback. But look, we don't know who their quarterback's going to be at this point either. I mean, you had a situation that Jake Garcia left, and he's going to Missouri. So there are just a lot of things right now that it's going to take, I think, several more years for Miami to be where they want to be.
Brent, and for Miami, all these places, we know Mike Norvell, he's got it turned around at FSU. I don't know if they're back to Coach Bowden or even Jimbo Fisher's national championship year type roster level or talent level, but he's ahead of those other two right now.
Well, it's not even close. Not even close. I mean, they've got they hired Patrick Surtain Sr., 11-year NFL veteran and longtime South Florida high school coach, for their defensive backs coach. They've got 7 coming back on offense, 9 on defense. Obviously, Jordan Travis is coming back. They've got Fabian Lovett and Jared Verse, 2 of the better defensive players who are coming back. I mean, look, that they will be top 10, if not top 5. And I understand that has been announced. If I saw this right, that they open in Orlando with LSU, and I believe that's going to be the Sunday night game. Now on that Labor Day weekend, which is sweet to think about that, frankly. But
it's always sweet to think of Labor Day football.
Boy, isn't that the truth? And more people need to play on that Sunday of Labor Day too, because you travel the next day. But I don't remember, guys. It's been a long time, and we cover FSU closely over the years. Been a long time since there's been this much excitement in Tallahassee.
We're talking a little bit to you right here, Brent. Do you follow? It's a great Twitter site. It's called Pick Six Previews, and the guy that runs it, Brett Ciencia, and we've had Brett on before. He is a great radio guest, and he does it. He doesn't do it he'll do it about 2 or 3 times a year out of nowhere, and he'll just run the poll questions. Are they a blue blood? And, he'll have Ohio State in there, and I think the number for Ohio State's in the 90 percentile with over 1,000 people vote. And he'll go all the way through them. And we were kind of batting this around today before the show started. Is Miami a blue blood?
I mean, obviously they were in their prime with Jimmy Johnson and that crew, but
so
I think,
can you get kicked out of blue blood status?
I that's a good question. I
mean, if you ever got in Augusta National, I guess they can kick you out.
Yeah, I mean, that's something worth really considering. But
boy, I'd hate to be the guy that made a big enough fool of myself to get kicked out.
But I think that's good. But I think the reality of it is, I think if you even ask some of these Miami fans right now if they're still a blue blood, that they would take a long time to answer the question. And I think they would probably answer it similar to what I did, would be yes, but back in the heyday. But guys, the reality of it is the last couple of decades has been a real struggle for them.
Well, it has, and I almost want to come up with a working formula for college basketball or college football. I don't know what the individual award for college basketball would be. I guess maybe the Wooden Award, but it's not that old, especially in comparison to the Heisman Trophy that you vote on and I vote on. I think I kind of got in my head 5.5, 6 of it, around that. If you've had combined national championships plus Heisman Trophy winners, then you are a blue blood.
Well, and I think this is going along with what you're saying. I don't know if it's even that you've got to win the national championship, but are you in the mix? Are you in the playoffs now?
Well, then that drags you in Georgia.
Yeah, have you won your division, and have you been in your conference championship game?
Right. Here's one that I voted emphatically no on. Emphatic no. Is Texas a blue blood? I say no.
No, that they're not. Texas, listen, and obviously Texas had been a blue blood since easily since 2009. When
they haven't been since crew cuts in black and white TV.
Yeah. So, and there's certainly nowhere near that now, and I don't know if they're going to be anytime soon. Now, that's such a convoluted situation with them. But you would think, my stars, they could. I mean, they've got the facilities. You would think they'd be able to recruit whoever they wanted to. That's not the case anymore.
You know they're rich.
Yeah. Oh yes, absolutely.
And they tell us every other sentence.
Yeah,
anytime
they do.
They can.
And I tell you what, that I've already been told this, and I bet you have too, is people that have not been in the same conference with Texas, it's going to take a while to settle in with that arrogance.
I don't have to be told about it. I've lived it a lot of my life with the Razorbacks in the Southwest Conference.
Yes.
I know how they are. They don't. On the back of all the report cards, it was written, "Please tell your parents that you don't play well with others."
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. But look, if you stopped a bunch of cars at 5:30 on the interstate near you guys, and you asked them if Texas was a blue blood, I think the majority of them would say no.
You're probably right. Talking to Brent Beard of First Coast News. Brent, we're getting really close to March, which means March Madness for college basketball. And you kind of mentioned Florida State a minute ago when we were talking about college football, but they're a team that before the season started, even through a couple of those losses early in the season, I was really high on. I thought this was going to be a good team for Leonard Hamilton. They started the season 1-9 in their first 10.
Leonard Hamilton.
Yes, and right now 2.
Or is he married to someone from Memphis? Memphis Ties.
Memphis Ties, whatever they are. I know you're all good, but they've won 2 of their last 6 games now in conference play. What is going wrong down in Tallahassee for the Seminoles?
It's just a very, very unusual year for them, because they are normally among the best teams in the nation as far as in their length,
and
also in their defense. And frankly, right now, that's just not happening. So I mean, look, when you look at, in field goal percentage right now, they're 228, and points scored, they're 228, and total rebounds, they are 328th in the nation. Now this is as unlike a year as they've had in any time that I remember. It's frankly just awful. Miami's doing much better. Todd Golden, I think, is slowly getting things together at Florida at this point too. But no, that is a great point that Florida State would be 7-15 overall and 5-6 in the conference.
And they really don't have, the ACC really doesn't have a team right now that this is a go for it year.
No, I agree. Listen, I agree with that. And what's interesting is you've got one of the best teams they've got right now is Pitt. Pitt is 8-3 and 15-7. Now Clemson is one on fire at this point. That they deserve a lot of credit. No surprise that Tony Bennett, Virginia, are back up there also. But I'm not saying they're pedestrian by any means. But I mean, you've got South Carolina at 7-3. 15-6. We mentioned Miami a minute ago. They're 7-4 and 16-5. And guys, how about this? Duke is in the middle of the pack at 6-4 and 15-6.
Brent, you're a much nicer person than I am. It is pedestrian, just like the SEC to a lot of people appears to be pedestrian when Big Blue's not at the top.
Yeah,
we heard that this year a little bit, and Georgia certainly scotched a lot of it. But if Bama's not going strong, SEC football's looked at differently.
Yeah,
Kentucky not going strong, same for basketball. And in the ACC, if it's not going through Tobacco Road, a lot of people yawn.
Yeah, they do. But I will say this though. And I think I think Mike Slive and Greg Sankey had the vision for this, that this league was going to be much better. And I'll tell you what, right now, look, I get the fact, guys, South Carolina and Ole Miss struggling, LSU, Mississippi State, Vandy, but I'm telling you, to me, the depth of this league with Bama, Tennessee, A&M, Auburn, Kentucky. Kentucky and Florida have the same SEC record.
Brent, I'm sorry, I blacked out after you said Bama and Tennessee. I don't think it's anybody after that.
Yeah. So the point, and I tell you what, the job that Buzz Williams has done with A&M. To be 7-1 in the conference, to me, is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Richard Cross did that game Saturday night in College Station. He said you would not believe how on fire all day that campus was building up to that 7:30 game against Vanderbilt, and he did it with our buddy Mark Wise, and they nailed it. He said it was really rocking.
Oh, it was. And by the way, Mark Wise, as you know, a stalwart used to be on the Florida Gator basketball network, and has really branched out. Mark is tremendous. His significant other, Mary Wise, has carved her name out for Gator volleyball. But no, I can believe that. And I don't think he gets much credit. I don't know if you know him or not, Brett. But
we have Mark on.
No, well, I'm sorry, I meant Buzz.
I do not.
But Buzz, to me, is maybe the most underrated coach in the conference.
No, but between him coming in and COVID and a little bit of my scaling back on the college basketball, no, I do not know him at all.
Yeah, but I've just really been impressed with him. And look, obviously Tennessee looking very good at this point, but the ball media will tell you very quickly, well, have we seen this before? and they get into the postseason.
We saw it in baseball.
Yeah,
Ooh.
oh yeah, and they're out.
That's a
very
shot.
quickly.
That was a shot. Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, it was. Oh man, was it?
I'm sorry, Tennessee fans, but it happened. We missed you in Omaha.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Notre Dame, I think, put them out, didn't they, Brett? Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. It was Notre Dame. Yes, in baseball.
Yeah, in baseball. Yes. Yeah.
Now that was complete. It started out as a shot, and then it became volleys.
It really did, didn't it? Oh yeah, absolutely. So, but the point here is, I could see the SEC doing well in the postseason too.
Yeah, I mean there's definitely a group of teams that could definitely make a run. Tennessee is definitely one of them. But Brent, we're going to let you go. Thanks for joining us as always.
Thank you, Brent.
Always enjoy, guys. Brian, glad you're on board. Thank you for helping out. And Brian, I can tell you right now, you got one of the best co-hosts in this nation.
Oh, I know it.
So enjoy every bit of that knowledge you get from him.
Thank you, Brent. I appreciate it.
That's
Love
really
you guys.
nice,
Take
Brent.
care.
Talk to you later, Brent.
That is really kind. Help me with this. SEC last national champion, Kentucky in 2012. Is that right?
That's got to be it.
I'm pretty sure that's right.
Yeah.
That's a long time for a league. That's a long time for Kentucky.
It's a long time for Kentucky. A lot of the fans are getting restless up there in Lexington.
I mean, it's not Michigan State going back to 2000, but Michigan State's not Kentucky.
No. But I mean, for any school, I mean, with the way that the tournament is, any school to kind of get back there and win another one is tough. But I think just kind of the expectations and stuff at Kentucky kind of changes that for sure.
To win it all, you're going back a while. So,
you
know, if it's not a kind of an emerging different name this year, and how often does that really happen? You know, we look up at tournament time 2024. It's really getting out there a long time.
Yeah, it's would that be 12 years? I'm not good with math.
That's it.
It hasn't been back-to-back the same league winning a championship since North Carolina and Duke did it 2009, 2010.
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow. That's a long time. So, yeah, I mean, I think –
I hope it is wide open, but will Clemson – Brent mentioned Clemson. They are having a good year. They're ranked. Clemson, Kansas State, Bama in a Final Four. You think CBS wants that?
No, they definitely don't want that. But, I mean, this tournament, this season just seems so wide open that it just seems any team matched up against any team could be the last one you play. I mean, there's no teams I see as, they're a shoo-in for the Final Four this year.
That's also not true at all. It's 2022 and 2021, Kansas and Baylor.
Okay.
So I was way, but the last time before that,
that just shows how far it was.
COVID threw us all off.
That's right. COVID year, all messed up.
Blame it on COVID.
Yeah, you can blame a lot of things.
And your back status, Jay Morgan.
And before that, it was 06-07, both Florida, back to back. Also, the last time it was back to back.
I was just about to ask that. Was that the last time it was back to back?
It was.
Well, yeah, it's a wide open season this year in college basketball. But we need to get to a break. On the other side, we'll talk about the Grizzlies and some NBA. It was a big slate last night. Another slate tonight. We'll get to all of that on the other side. You're listening to Sports Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
DeSoto Auto Sales specializes in late model cars with low mileage. They have the highest standards in the car industry. All of their cars are test-driven, checked out from head to toe. Unlimited inventory, every make and model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll find it for you. Walk in the door of DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Within 45 minutes, you can test your car, get credit approval, and finish paperwork within an hour. No shortcuts at DeSoto Auto Sales. Kind, courteous employees, a down-home environment. DeSoto Auto Sales cares about your time. Lowest prices in a 350-mile radius. We're living in a world today where time does matter. Visit them online. Check out their referrals. DeSotoAutosales.com. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and other surrounding areas. DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Call 662-890-7184. 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto Auto Sales.
Case IH is a proud supporter of the Mississippi Farm Bureau, and thanks to a membership benefits partnership, Mississippi Farm Bureau members receive a discount of up to $500 on every qualifying Case IH tractor and piece of equipment you purchase. This discount may be used with other promotions, rebates, or offers. So join Mid-South Ag Equipment and the Mississippi Farm Bureau and pocket up to $500 in savings. Call Mid-South Ag at 662-890-3141 to get your discount today.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no-obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Willoshin here for Homer Skelton Hyundai. I love to brag about my friends right at the corner of Highway 78 Lamar and the first exit in Mississippi Craft Road. They always come up with some innovative program that makes you want to just go out and get your brand new car. And I'm talking Hyundais. Right now, you can get a new Santa Fe. You can get a new Tucson. You can get any brand new Hyundai, state-of-the-art technology. You can get that without paying for 3 months. You've heard me correctly. You can get a brand new Hyundai and not pay for 90 days. This just started. It's going all the way through January. You could say a Christmas present, a holiday present from Homer Skelton Hyundai. Again, make your deal and then don't worry for 90 days about paying the very first payment, and only at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you. And Brett, I owe you an apology.
No, you don't.
I do. If you remember last year, when it was about draft time, and there was one specific player that you were very high on in the draft, and you wanted the Grizzlies to draft him.
I already know who it is.
And I was very against it.
It was a love
at the time.
affair.
It was. Who was it?
It was with Kessler.
It was with Walker Kessler.
Walker Kessler.
Walker Kessler's had a good season, and he is now a part of the Rising Stars team. Would have never guessed it.
He is.
He is.
He is. I didn't see that one coming.
I
didn't either.
He is more so. I'm gonna take Brian's thunder here and say he is having a good season, but I'm not going to use the Rising Stars game as my credibility.
Don't. No,
he's fourth in the league in blocks per game.
SBOTY.
What is that?
Shot blocker of the year.
Oh, it's okay.
Some of my draft time love affairs. Okay, so I proved last night in private. Thank goodness I didn't go on the air with it, but I'm kind of outing myself now.
It's okay.
I'm no meteorologist. I told y'all no big deal. And it's been a really big deal.
I was right there with you.
But I'm no meteorologist.
It's okay. I said
that's why I didn't go on the air with it.
I told
so
my
I really
girlfriend
shouldn't have to out
last night,
myself.
We can go to breakfast this morning. We can do a lot of things tomorrow. Weather's not going to be bad.
Well, Brett, but you could have, because you could have done what these meteorologists do, not to disparage them, because they prepared us very well for this. But you could do what the meteorologists do and say, I'm 60% sure that it's not going to be a big deal, and then you leave yourself that 40% for it to be a big deal.
Isn't that proviso in our open that I'm only about 60% sure of everything I'm getting ready to say over the next 3 hours?
I think everyone just assumes that's the way it works for me.
Shouldn't it be that?
That's right.
And I am no NBA draft analyst whatsoever.
You might have gotten this one right, though.
Because my love affair for Walker Kessler does not approach what it was like for Moses Moody.
Oh yeah, you're a big man,
but he's still super young, though, Brett.
Young.
The difference
he's surrounded by a lot of talent.
The reason why you can be right about Walker Kessler right now is because he was prepared for the NBA his first day there.
Yep.
Whereas there's a lot of young guys that still have years of development to come to even reach their
Walker
ceiling.
Kessler was also an older guy.
He was. So I'm not sure Walker Kessler is ever going to be a whole lot better than he is right now. But this might just be what he is throughout his career.
And the Walker Kessler love affair was really back to his late uncle, who was the great player at Georgia, Alec Kessler. But there's been no draft love affair. And it was only magnified by his UCLA team coming to Memphis and playing here. It was UCLA, Gonzaga, Kentucky, and North Carolina. That great regional year that Kentucky and North Carolina met in that great final that I had for TJ Leaf.
What a name, TJ Leaf. Oh, my gosh. So you predicted him to be a standout pro one day.
I had a friend of mine with the Grizzlies start avoiding me.
Really?
Just where I wouldn't be talking about TJ Leaf with them.
Okay, so we've got Walker Kessler, Moses Moody,
TJ Leaf's
and
out of the
TJ
league.
Leaf.
He's out of the league now, I think.
Is he really?
Yeah, but
TJ Leaf, games played won't hit 50, will it?
Sure.
I don't
go
think
to
he's
basketball.
I don't think he's in the league any. Oh wow, it does. It hits 146.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
It hit what? No, his 3 years in Indiana.
I was about to say, he played a lot in Indiana.
9 minutes a game
yeah.
was his.
But he got in.
He got in. That's exactly right. 58 games played in 2018-19.
Y'all are being too kind. That's a swing and a miss.
No, well,
do you have any other ones? And we have those three anymore?
Oh yeah, I can top it. Now I did, and with the late great Coach Gene Bartow, it was a steak dinner bet. I had running with him that he would be a flop extraordinaire, and he was. And I would go, Coach, who's he going to get in front of on defense, and how's he going to get open on offense? Jimmer Fredette.
Oh, Jimmer. I love Jimmer. He did well over in China.
I never bought it.
Really?
I think he's still playing in China, but you're absolutely right. Who in the world is that guy going to guard in Indiana?
Nobody.
Couldn't get in front of me.
No, he couldn't guard anybody.
But he could score from 60 feet away from the basket.
He could score anywhere he wanted to score.
How was he going to get open?
That's another good question.
Just stay
sundial.
Just stay in the backcourt while they play 4-on-5 on offense, and then run up
very
late
easy
clock.
to get clear.
No. A friend of mine texted me the big miss, and it hits home, and I mean,
oh gosh,
big, and in the comparison I did, I went out and said, reminds me of a raw Akeem Olajuwon.
Oh no.
Hashim.
Ooh,
that's a bad one.
It's okay.
Can't teach 7-3. Can't teach 7-3, Jay Morgan.
Can't.
Well, that's kind of how I feel about Zach Edey. But Zach Edey, I don't think will be.
Zach Edey.
But he's not going to get drafted.
No,
at that.
he's a college
I tell you what,
guy.
though. I don't think Hashim Thabit would have been drafted anywhere near there unless the Grizzlies did it. So maybe someone will do that with Zach Edey, too.
I doubt
it. A good friend texted me, you don't have the blank to confess that you were a Hashim guy. And I just did. And
wow, so
yes,
multiple people coming at you about Hashim.
Clearly you do.
Wow.
No, that's a tough one. I mean, we're going to get in trouble for even mentioning the name Hashim Thabit on Memphis radio right now. But
can't teach 7-3, Jay Morgan.
You can't teach 7-3. But especially in today's game, you got to be able to move. These centers, I was talking about this earlier with John Harden with the Blazers coming to town. Without Steven Adams on the floor, Nurkic is a big banger of a 7-foot center who also is as light on his feet as any guard in the league.
He can stretch it out, yeah.
So light on his feet in terms of he'll step by you. Like he did a sidestep last night. What game? Oh, against the Hawks.
Yeah.
He did a sidestep by Clint Capella, had an unbelievable finish in that game. So in terms of these guys that are light on their feet and big like that, I'm not sure where I see Zach Edey fitting in.
Who would you put up against Nurkic tomorrow night?
I don't think there's a player on the roster, Brian.
Wow.
Well, somebody's got to guard him.
Somebody's got to guard him.
And well, it's gonna. I would imagine it starts the game. I mean, Brandon Clark can't guard him.
No.
We're not running Pete and Brevin to guard him.
That's right. Well, I'm not sure they could guard him either, Brett. Brandon Clark can't do it. That could be a game you start Tillman because he's big and physical.
And make all 6 fouls count.
Or they might start jeering on him. That's not a recipe for success.
But you can get him in foul trouble quickly and disrupt a lot of offense.
And that's why they wouldn't do it. They'll put Tillman on him. They'll have Jaron Gordon. I don't know. You can't even get Jeremy Grant. I don't know who they're going to have Jaron Gordon tomorrow.
I went full NBA draft misses and the confessional about Hashim. I wasn't alone in the interest it will work with this team of Hashim. I'm just one that will admit I was not alone over these airwaves, near or far, in this market. I promise you.
Like you said, you can't teach that size.
There was not universal. No way, this is never going to work. He will be a disaster. It wasn't close to that.
No, not at
a
all.
little bit like now that Ryan Silverfield gets. We're getting a lot of people rewriting history of how opposed they were to that when I didn't hear any of that opposition.
When he
slam
was
dunk
hired.
right.
I mean, nobody in this market was saying, this is a bad hire. Everyone was saying, this is great. Keep the consistency there. He was under Norvell. The guys like him. This is a perfect hire. And now everyone's going, I knew that he wasn't the right hire from the minute his name started coming up. It's ridiculous.
And that's really grown. And if he gets off to a rough start next year or has a tough season, it will continue to grow, and everybody will run from him. And that was not the tenor or the temperature of this market.
No, not at all. I mean, I remember when it happened, I had a couple buddies that were on the team, and they were texting me when it happened, and I was texting other people going, this is the great hire. This is the hire they need to do. I'll stand by that. You're standing by Hashim to beat. I'll stand by Silverfield if it goes down in flames.
Okay, I missed on Larry Porter. I was big on that.
Really?
And not everybody. That was not universal. I thought former player.
Yeah.
It will work. Beloved. And
so I was a little young for the Porter hire.
Tough guy, great player, and out there in recruiting. And I missed it. Ole Miss with Matt Luke, but I'm a homer.
I missed it with Mario Cristobal at Miami. Now, it's only been 1 year, but I said...
You loved Cristobal.
Brett, you said 10 wins. I put my money where my mouth was last year and bet over the 8.5 wins.
You had them winning the conference, too.
And that didn't happen for me.
No. Here's 2 more misses.
I love throwing out all the misses.
Here's 2 more misses. Big on Mike Shula at Bama and on Nick Saban. It's over. Nobody can ever win there again.
Well... You want to know my big miss that hasn't really turned out to be a miss, but I think it's going to be a miss now?
Is this going to be you bragging now?
No, because I think it's a miss.
Oh, okay,
no, I'm saying it's bad, but I'm
But it hasn't been mass yet. Okay, all right.
But I think it is. Matthew Liberatore.
Oh, Bryant loved Matthew Liberatore. He's been talking about it like, this guy is going to be the first starter on the Cardinals. Yep. This guy can't even pitch 4 innings of a baseball game, let alone 2 or 3.
Should have known when he was with the Redbirds because he was the most inconsistent pitcher.
We talked about it yesterday with Waka and that debut 2013 year, how he was NLCS MVP.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we talked yesterday like, he just had a little, nice little ham and egg year. He was LCS MVP. Cardinals don't go to the World Series without him. And,
he's huge.
Well, that got him the next contract.
Yeah.
But I had him as Adam Wainwright.
No, he's no Adam Wainwright.
See, you guys both said he had a much better year last year, and he definitely did. A 3.32 ERA coming off of back-to-back where he had
American League, pitching at Fenway.
Yeah. And he had, his last year in St. Louis, his ERA was 5. His year in New York for the Mets, his ERA was 6.62, and his last year in 2021 with Tampa Bay, it was 5.05.
I'm telling you, why not give him a shot?
Back. I don't want
you can probably sign him for not much money and give him a shot.
No thank you.
So Walk and I were okay buds when he was here with the Redbirds. And Brian, because I'm at a lot of games, around a lot, and we okay, and then kind of in St. Louis. So he leaves the Cardinals, and I don't know where he is, but I'm with Ole Miss, and we're playing at College Station one year, and he was the ceremonial pregame yell leader because he's a former Texas Aggie baseball player, great player there, and on our pregame show, I cracked the line. I said, "What? I hope he doesn't throw his arm out trying to leave." I didn't know he's walking He's in the back of our booth talking to David and to one of our spotters. I didn't know he was back there. I said it. He had appeared on the field, and we come back from the break and do something else. So it was a couple of segments later, and he had time to get up to the booth, and he's going to sit in their AD booth. And I cracked that line, and he's standing by, and he comes down and holds his hands out like, man, I thought we were better than that. And he took it nicely. But I did not tell him he'd be a future manager. That was my go-to play with the rest of the Redbirds. Yeah. That's my go-to play with all
Jay,
Redbirds.
you weren't there for this, but Brett has told every single Redbirds player that they're one day going to be a manager.
You're going to be a skipper someday. Yeah, you got it. Yeah. I tell all of them.
What's the reason behind that?
Just being
brown in the future.
Just tell them how much they know about baseball. And
got it right with Skip Schumacher.
You sure did.
The Marlins are trying to literally solve all of their problems by signing
with a second baseman.
Only second baseman. They're going to sign second baseman and change their position. Jazz Chisholm's playing center field this year. And they're even going to hire a former second baseman to be the head coach. That's literally how it's going to be. It's all second basemen.
I've told Stubby Clapp he's going to be a manager. I told Eddie Perez he'd be a manager. You tell enough of them, you'll get some of them right.
And you did.
You nailed it with Stubby.
Brett's a homer.
That's right. And the predictor, I guess. You can throw them both in there. But we got to get to a break. We'll be right back. You're listening to Sports Time.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I'm with John Virgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, I want to talk about our seasoning and sauce today. Our sauce is a great blend of sweet, mustard, and vinegar. It's good on so many items other than barbecue. It's good on pizza. People use it in lieu of ketchup. But our seasoning is the original dry rub, created by my father using a mixture of Greek and Cajun spices. People think our sauce and seasoning are good just during the grilling season. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's good year-round. Our seasoning is good on fish, chicken, deviled eggs, corn on the cob, French fries. People even put a dash in a Bloody Mary. To get a complete list of all of our recipes using our products, go to hogsfly.com, click recipes, and you'll see 50 wonderful items and dishes. And Brett, our sauce and seasoning is available at most grocery stores, and if they don't have it, please remind your grocer to stock it. And our slaw is also available at most Kroger stores.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Virgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
When a cold comes on strong, knock it out with Vicks DayQuil Severe for max strength daytime relief. Just one dose of Vicks DayQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Power through your day with Vicks DayQuil Severe, the daytime non-drowsy, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, 9 to none medicine. Use as directed.
If you're looking to move out of your parents' place, you could really cut expenses by bundling your car and renter's insurance with Progressive, which is good because your little brother has gotten really territorial. You're blood related. You'd think it would be fine to share food in the fridge. I mean, who writes their name on every individually wrapped slice of cheese, Tyler? Still, you've got to admire the commitment. So bundle your renter's and car insurance with Progressive and use the savings to help you move out and have all the cheese you want. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers.
The new year has begun, and Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat on the Pike is starting the year right with a Start Something New sales event. How about 1.9 for up to 72 months? Plus, you may qualify for $2,000 bonus cash and $500 Conquest bonus cash towards your new 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited. Get 2022 Jeep Renegade Sport 4x4, $399 a month, or buy it for $28,990. You got a need for speed? We Gossett in 2022 Dodge Charger XSD, $470 a month. But if you can't find exactly what you're looking for, we can get your dream car ordered today. No extra charges, no market adjustments, no more than MSRP at Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat on the Pike. So drive past the rest and come to the best. Gossett on the Pike, or shop online GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motorcars.
Cherokee P8 79072, MSRP 55432, 1.972 months. Trade or own any non-Stellantis vehicle. Must own for a minimum of 30 days and have a current registration to qualify any 2023 Cherokee offer. Renegade NPN 79312, MSRP 30080. Charger NH 261941, MSRP 35630. Excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 1/31/2023. Dealer stock only.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Back in on Sports Time, Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you. And like I said a little earlier, March is kind of sneaking up on us. We're right around the corner.
Let's get to February 1st, Brian.
Well, February's
We're close,
tomorrow.
though.
We are.
It's the last day of January.
Just a couple hours away.
Only a month away.
Right. And a short month at that.
That's right. Only 28 days. Right?
The shortest, cruelest month of them all, but it's the month of love.
Yes.
Literally. That's
Literally.
right.
As much as I'm not a fan of Valentine's Day.
Why not, Brian?
I got to spend money on it now.
Well, I hardly ever give dating advice. If you do not have a steady guy or gal out there right now, whatever, don't get one right now because you don't have to get locked into anything.
That's right.
Restart that the 15th or 16th.
Best
no need to
advice
fall in
given.
love now. I mean, to limit your losses.
Hopefully he's not listening. A friend of mine, one of my best friends, his father, notoriously used to break up with his significant others before holidays and Valentine's Day and their birthdays, just to avoid
That's a veteran play.
Just to avoid that type of thing.
Yikes.
So maybe you're onto something, Brett.
Yeah, I walked right into the old after the holidays, right before a Valentine trap one year.
Ooh.
And you're on the hook for a bunch of gifts.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
And nowadays, you get a Hallmark card, some chocolates, boom, you did it. And flowers.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
That's right.
Well, I guess you're all right.
Well, why are you excited for March, Bryant?
Because March Madness.
I see.
That's what I was
me
getting
too.
at. March Madness coming up, so a lot of bracketology out. We've kind of talked about a couple of them. The one I was talking about earlier that I was looking at was Jerry Palm at CBS. He has the
Friend
Tigers.
of the morning show.
That's right. He has the Tigers, and he's on with them weekly, right?
He is.
Yes. So, and I remember because we talked to Greg, because Jerry Palm was one of the only ones to have the Tigers out of his bracket a couple weeks ago. Well, right now he has them in. He has them as a 9 seed playing North Carolina in the first round down in Birmingham. If they win that game, they play Alabama again.
In Birmingham.
Birmingham.
At BJCC, and used to be the very dimly lit BJCC, but it's gone through a massive renovation, so maybe the lighting is much better there than it used to be. But you think about all the bracketology. We talked about Dave. He has Mike DeCourcy. Starting next Monday, we'll have Shelby Mass from Gannett USA Today. We'll have him at 4:30 with us every Monday through the Monday finals. Greg and Eli, they have Jerry Palm all but year round on college football, college basketball. So we got the bracketology covered. I enjoy the bracketology. What's the trading range for the Tigers out there? It all looks pretty compacted.
It looks like about 9 to 11 is where I've pretty much seen it. Anywhere in that. I know Lenardi put out his bracket today. He has them as an 11 seed playing Rutgers in the first round. That would be in the West region is what he has them with, the number 1 seed in the West region being Houston.
11 seed, really?
Yeah, he has them. That's one of his last 4 buys.
Really? So they moved back.
His last 4 buys are Boise State, Maryland, Memphis, and West Virginia, which West Virginia's playing really well right now.
I think I looked.
Yeah, they got a big one tonight.
I think I looked Monday or Sunday, and they were firmly in. So that means that somebody jumped past them, which is not beyond the realm of possibility with all these big conferences
I'm not sure
beating
who
and
that
losing to each
team
other
would be that jumped them, though.
I don't know either. Because they were on the last 4 in. Then, like you said, moved to first 4 buys. The other day I looked, and they were firmly in. Now they're back to the last 4 buys.
I wonder, because I kind of have Jerry Palm's up and Joe Lenardi's out at the same time. Jerry Palm has his last 4 in: Arkansas, Kentucky, Virginia Tech, and West Virginia. I don't see Arkansas on any of the bubble lists. Last 4 buys, last 4 in, first 4 out, or next 4 out. So that seems like they're probably in, making the Tigers, pushing them kind of as that last 4 buy.
Brian, I've told you a lot through the years. If you hear the old-timers around here kind of bragging about yesteryear, there are some things where the fish story really gets embellished, but there are a couple things that doesn't. First of all, anybody that tells you about how the Coliseum rocked in the day at Tiger basketball, believe them. Anybody tells you about how the Coliseum rocked in the day at wrestling, believe
You're a
them.
big wrestling guy.
And another one, if somehow Arkansas and Memphis met in the tournament, y'all would see and hear a different Memphis talk radio.
Yeah, I think you're right.
In what way? In what way?
Great way. I mean, it will bring it out.
I've heard stories about the old Tigers and Razorbacks, but obviously that was before my time. My dad always likes to say that Arkansas owes Memphis a game in football. He comes around to that every single time anything is talked about between Memphis and Arkansas.
Your dad is correct, and Coach Brawls just flat got tired of losing to Memphis and backed out of the contract, and now the new deal they're in it's a 2-for-1.
Yeah.
Is it in a similar way that like when Memphis plays Tennessee in basketball? Is it in the similar vein of that Arkansas and Memphis if they were to meet in the tournament? I don't really know. That's why I'm asking.
No, I think it's a little more respectful.
I see.
Than Memphis and Tennessee. I think Tiger fans, I just don't think they acknowledge Tennessee as being on par with them historically in basketball, and I don't either. Yeah. I mean, if I did an all-time college basketball ranking, I would have Memphis ahead of Tennessee. I would not have Memphis ahead of the Razorbacks, but it's pretty close.
Yeah.
Now, the Razorbacks do have the championship, but the Tigers have had plenty of Final Four, all that good stuff, and it's been good regular season and in the NCAA tournament. And Penny Hardaway, his best NCAA tournament as a player at Memphis was in '92, and that was a win over Arkansas in Milwaukee.
Yeah, and then got him back into the tournament last year. But listen to this field, because I was talking about it earlier, but I didn't have it in front of me. But this region that Jerry Palms has right now, the Midwest region, number 1 seed would be Alabama, 8 North Carolina, 9 Memphis, 5 UConn, 12 Southern Miss, TCU number 4, UC Santa Barbara 13, St. Mary's 6, UCLA, Eastern Washington, Michigan State, Creighton, Kansas, and Colgate, all in the same region.
Eastern Washington. That's not where Imani Bates goes to school.
That's Eastern Michigan. They're nowhere near the tournament. But that's a tough region. That's a lot of good teams in there.
That is, and it feels. It feels, back to my not top story. It feels pretty wide open.
Yeah.
Even for like in Arizona, they have that one in '97 with Luton. That was kind of a magical run. Started in Memphis at the Pyramid, and they were lucky to escape out of Memphis to Birmingham that year on to the Final Four. But they can crush some brackets year in and year out.
You're absolutely right. But last night, I think the biggest game of the night was the big comeback win for Jay Morgan's old school, Texas Tech, the Red Raiders. Did you watch that game, Jay? You're watching NBA.
Yeah, well, I watched the highlights of the game this morning, if I can help myself. I'm telling you, that's the way it is. Well, SportsCenter, that led SportsCenter. It was such a good college basketball game. It led SportsCenter today. A great comeback. I believe Dave Woloshin said is the largest, if I'm not mistaken, comeback in Big 12 history.
Really? Wow. I wouldn't be surprised.
Second half comeback, pardon me.
I mean, they can go on a run here. Terrible start to conference play. But they could go on a run here. I think Fardal's Amac, their big forward, 6'11", that was the big transfer pickup for them. I think he's going to be close to being back soon. So, I mean, it's a tough Big 12, but they're a team that can make a run late.
They were down 5 with 40 seconds to play.
Yeah.
Right. It's also their first Big 12 win of the year.
It is.
But they beat LSU in the
they
SEC
beat
Big 12
LSU
Challenge, so how about that?
Not a great start, but maybe they can turn it around, obviously adding, if they can add some depth there in the front court.
Still a quad 1 team by the net, though, even having only won 1 conference game.
Really?
That's right there in the top 60 in the net.
That helps them a lot. Well, we'll see what they do. Obviously, a big night tonight in college basketball, and we've said it a couple times, but Ole Miss, Kentucky tonight. You can catch that right here on Sports 56. But we got to get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk NFL with our guy, Bo Marchant.
This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Marks Bensdorf Realtors, and the market is starting to crank back up. While we had a slowdown late last year, the rates are coming down, and I'm seeing multiple offers again. And if you want to participate in 2023, think of me. Do not list your home without talking to 2 to 3 real estate brokers, and make sure that Kelly Erb and I are one of them. I've had people say that I must feel confident to tell people that, and yes, I do. We have a highly successful strategic marketing program that can make the difference in how much you make and when. Find out why people often say that when you want the job done, call Shell Done at 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com. Or you can also call my marketing partner, Kelly Erb, at 355-3830.
Call me, Kelly Erb, at 355-3830 or Shell Done at memphisrelocate.com or 483-0546. Remember, call me, Kelly Erb, at 355-3830.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. Well, still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or get it right the first time with eBay Motors Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's gonna fit. Air filters, brakes, headlights, over 122 million parts. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
Need new tires? The experts at Tire Rack have been crushing it for over 40 years. Go to TireRack.com/Colin. Tell them what you drive. Try their easy-to-use tire decision guide. They'll show you the right tires for how, what, and where you drive. They've got the full line of hand-cooked tires, test results, tire ratings, and consumer reviews. Also, fast free shipping, free road hazard protection. That's TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
Forte PE 573, MSRP 21335, K5 LSX 0099 18857, MSRP 26805. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/28/2023 with approved credit. Dealer stock only. Warranties a limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Hey, Jeff, my man, are you ready to almost give away some new Kias today to start the new year off right at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah?
You bet I am, Randy. How about 41 MPG Highway and your new 2023 Kia Forte LXS, only $254 a month. 36-month lease, $27.99 due at sign.
Hey, Jeff, how about that new K5? That thing's awesome.
We got it at just $319 a month. 36-month lease, $31.99 due at signing. Plus, with all your new Kias, you know you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. And if you don't see exactly what you want, I'll order it for you, and you won't pay over MSRP at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah. So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia, Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah or KiaMountMoriah.com.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Oh, yeah. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Back in with Sports Time, Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, and Jay Morgan Harder with you to start the 5 o'clock hour. Like we do every Tuesday, we're joined by Bo Marchant from collegetopro.com and Sports Illustrated. Bo, I saw that you're down at the Senior Bowl this week for that game, and last week I think you were at the Shrine Bowl. Is that right?
Yeah, last week, and they're both going on simultaneously right now. But yeah, I was in Vegas over the weekend, and then we arrived in Mobile yesterday.
Do you have a preferred showcase game that you like to go to?
Vegas, baby.
You know what? There's so much change in the games in the last few years in terms of access that I don't want to ruffle feathers because I'm going to make everybody mad. So
smart move.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bo, when you left Vegas, did you need my wheelbarrow to carry all those winnings out with?
No, I did not. I don't gamble, so but no, I got some nice runs in. It was nice not running in 10-degree weather, and it was only 36, but it was not as cold as
better
Ohio.
Than 10 degrees, yeah.
But, yeah.
Now I know how well you're treated at the Reese's Senior Bowl and through the years, whether it was Steve Hale running the game or our friend Phil Savage, now Jimmy Nagy. I mean, it is excellent treatment. And Bo, you know it, but let our listeners know everything is about practice. The game is meaningless.
Yeah, I mean the scouts. I mean by the time Thursday rolls around. Mobile should become a little bit of I shouldn't say a ghost town, but a ghost town in terms of NFL personnel, is the best way to put it. Wednesday and Thursday, the personnel people start to leave, and that's usually when family agents kind of arrive and kind of take in the game and see their sons and brothers play. the game of football. But it's a great week, and they're practicing at Jaguar Stadium, Bill Whitney Stadium, South Alabama. And I know when they made the switch, it ruffled some feathers because they played at Lad Peoples for so many years, and that's maybe about a 3-mile drive from downtown Mobile, Alabama. South Alabama's maybe about a 20-minute drive. So I think the locality of it for the people who live here, they had a problem with it. But for the kids, the game needed to advance. They needed modern facilities, especially with the Shrine game. I'm going to tell. I mean, there's make no bones about it. The Shrine game is aiming to dethrone the Senior Bowl. This is wow. Last year was kind of eating into it. Now they're practicing in the same places, and it'll only take one or two players to say, hey, you know what, where do you want to go? Would you rather go to Vegas or would you rather go to Mobile, Alabama? Do you want to play at Allegiant Stadium or do you want to play at South Alabama? So that's the plan, and we'll see if it comes to fruition. But I can just tell you, it's an arms race to be the number one All-Star game right now.
And Bo, look, I mean, it's just simple economics. It's appearance fee. I mean, when we're into NIL like we are, and we're into the history of some of these big name, brand name bowls, including ours here in Memphis. The AutoZone Liberty Bowl, having to talk about stipend for players. I know what to get them to Mobile. I know what to beat Vegas. Double.
Yep.
You pay more than Vegas pays.
Yeah, and it could get to that. And listen, that's where we're at. If you like it or don't like it, you support it, don't support it. That's where we're headed, and it's just something we're all dealing with. And even for us, again, when the Shrine game was at the Trade Winds, it was just so easy and accessible, and the Shrine game gets swallowed up in Las Vegas. You're walking through the casino. I can pretty much guarantee you that if you grabbed 500 people and you asked them what the Shrine game was, they're not there for that.
They think you may be talking inside mystics on some type of gambling paraphernalia.
Yeah, no, the Senior Bowl might be a little different, especially when you arrive down here in Mobile. The city it's conducive. It's kind of sort of how Indy is with the Combine, where everyone in the business loves to get together. It's kind of a point where you see friends that you've made over time. You get to remake weird acquaintances with them, new acquaintances, if you will. I think that's the thing, like in Vegas, where and listen, Eric Galco's the director of player personnel there. He's done a fabulous job. The access is very, very good. But just being in Vegas, it just kind of swallows it up. And then, you got to, the costs in Vegas are a lot higher than what you'd play down in St. Pete. So, but listen, it's part of it. But for the kids, it's great. And, I've put it this way. I've had a wonderful last 5 days. For anyone thinking that I'm sour, I'm not. But the access just from the old way of where the games were played, it was just, a lot easier to do what I have to do.
So, Bo, we've got the Super Bowl set, the two teams, Eagles and Chiefs, that are going to be representing in the Super Bowl. And if people haven't kind of seen on Twitter, what you have done every week, probably since week 2 or week 3 of the season, is you'll quote tweet our show with the two favorites for the Super Bowl. And all season long, since you started doing it, the Eagles have been the team from the NFC, and now they're representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. What did you think of their performance? Obviously, they kind of got some help with some quarterback issues, some injuries for San Francisco, but kind of been dominant all season.
They have, and I was as disappointed, I think, as anybody, absent of an Eagles fan, that that game kind of turned out as it was. Because going into that game, I really couldn't have said, hey, I think this team's going to beat that team, vice versa. I thought they were just evenly matched. I thought they were both great football teams. Mm-hmm. Sad to breed Brock Purdy go down, and you just knew the momentum would eventually collapse. And then when Josh Johnson went down, you just, made them so one-dimensional. And just then it was like a prize fight where, your eyes are swollen and your nose is bleeding. And basically, it's just a matter of time before they stop it. So it's a good game for the Eagles. Eventually they kept scoring. And I think the last couple playoff games, they really haven't. Well, I mean, they demolished the Giants, but I don't think we thought the Giants were, that good in the first place. So, but, they got over. I mean, who knows if, absent of, Josh Johnson looked good for a brief time. I don't know if they really could have stayed in the game, and point for point if the Eagles were, if it came down to that. So, but kudos to the Eagles. Sirianni, great season. Jalen Hurts, MVP type performance, and they're here. I think they've had that swag all season. Just to be able to create turnovers, make big plays defensively. The offense can score in so many variety of ways, and that's why they're the number one seed. I don't think there's any, they didn't earn this number one seed or their Super Bowl thing on a fluffy, fluky schedule or like some blown call or anything. They were the dominant team, I think, in the NFC. It's just, the AFC is just, I think, so much more talented in terms of overall teams.
How sick do they have to be in Cincinnati? Right there to win it all last year, and they get through Kansas City. I mean, they you could say they were right there to win it all again this year, and they still have 0 Super Bowl titles.
Yeah, they did. The one thing I took from that game is I think if Mahomes was healthy, I think they win by 10. I really do. I thought Mahomes, we knew he was hurting. The throws that were obvious throws that he would make 100 times out of 100 times, they were short, and you just tell he's hurt. I don't. Hopefully he can, be as close to 100% as he can in 2 weeks before kickoff. I just thought the Bengals played well, but in terms of, it's kind of like how Cincinnati went into Buffalo. I think the Chiefs outplayed them with a quarterback who was at, 50%, if maybe 65%. And I think that was a game that if you're going to go there and you're going to beat Mahomes, what a better opportunity knowing that he's at that level. And they weren't able to get it done. So kudos to the Chiefs. I thought they outplayed them, and I thought they should have won the game, just in terms of Cincinnati let them, hang around. And there were some weird calls. Anybody out there, I do agree there were some strange calls in that game that definitely favored the Chiefs. But then again, they were kind of like they were the right calls. So they were weird calls. I don't necessarily think that they were bogus calls, if you will.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Now, the Bengals would counter. What if it had been a healthy offensive line for the Bengals?
Well, then we could say what happens if the Chiefs had receivers.
That's right.
Yeah. So and
we play it as it is on game day, and that's how it falls out.
Yeah, that's how it falls out. So I just think the offense of the Chiefs with Mahomes, I just think they, again, at that level, and for them to get over, big play by Chris Jones at the end, that sack. Because the one thing that the Bengals, and you watch the game, I mean, every third and long, every third down, Joe Burrow was able to pick their pocket and, deliver a big, the big first down to Chase on fourth. The third down completion to Hayden Hurst. I mean, those were long completions in critical moments. So when that 3rd and 8 came out on that final drive, I was, I'd have said, hey, he completes this pass. The last thing I would have thought that he was going to, Jones was going to be able to make that type of play, but lo and he didn't. Weird call. We know that push out of bounds on Mahomes. That poor kid's going to live with that for a long time. Hopefully that kind of erases out of his memory, and maybe the Bengals get over the hump next year, and that whole taste is kind of something that, doesn't linger.
When you talk about those injuries and with Mahomes, the high ankle sprain, we know that's kind of an injury that tends to linger, and that receivers room. What do you think with their health? 2 weeks, you kind of have a week and then another week to prepare. What do you think they are health-wise, and how does that impact the Super Bowl against the Eagles?
Well, I will put it this way. I mean, that's, I think, the cushion. I would prefer the game to be 1 week away, but the 2 weeks do allow for teams to get about as healthy as they can. I mean, you get 1 week to actually act like you have a bye week, and then you kind of go back into your practice week. I mean, they're not going to be on a bye by any stretch, but just in terms of allowing the body to heal, you're not playing a full game. They should be good. I mean, absent of, guys that are seriously hurt who just aren't going to be able to perform. And on the flip side, you assume not the Bengals, but the Eagles should, be able to be about as good as they're going to be as well in terms of just getting everybody ready on there. And I think it's going to be a great game. I still think Philly has it. And I remember years ago, Brett, I think it was around the time when Watson was first starting to get the allegations. We talked about Andy Reid, and I said I would never pick Andy Reid in the Super Bowl again. So if I stick to my word, then I'll go against them. But it just seems like those big games, and 21 playoff wins, and I think he passed or tied Tom Landry. But those Super Bowls are just something that have been tricky for him to achieve, and
tricky in Philly,
and tricky to win. Yeah, so I don't know. Like I said, we got 2 weeks for me to think about it, but there's one of those things like just Randy Reid in a big game just doesn't seem to fall his way.
I'm right now early lean Philadelphia. Really, I have no preference. I mean, it's like a lot of the NFL watching for me. And Bo, we tweet constantly on Sunday afternoon. Love watching. Don't have a team. Really don't. A lot of weeks I don't care who wins. I kind of want to get my picks right on Friday as much as anything else. But
don't we all?
But I really do not care. I watch it for the football value of it.
Right. That's how. I mean, that's why I watch. And like you said, if you make a pick or you're on the air and you say something, I mean, you want to be able to look right, and you want to be able to go on the air the next day or next week and say, yeah, you look smart. You don't want to, say, hey, I think this, and then you're like, wow, this guy's just never right. But I like the Eagles. I just think there's something about that team. There's certain. It seems like when teams are on that level, it just. The ball bounces their way. The deflection goes in their direction. Yeah, it just those little type of things have seemed to kind of favor them throughout the year. They've been able to get over on teams very early, and it just seems like they just kind of smother them after that. So I'm excited. Again, when I talked about the Final Four of the teams that were in the AFC and NFC championships, I thought all those teams, if any one of those four made it to the final two, I thought it would be a fabulous event, and I think we're in store for a great game. I mean, Mahomes is magical. I mean, even at 50%, he was still
and very likable. And I can't find kind of the bad guy in this. I like both of these coaches. I like both of these franchises. Philly's only won one Super Bowl all time. KC's won two. I like when people win a few more. With a Kansas City win, I referenced this yesterday. With a Chiefs win, they will be 3-2 all time in Super Bowls. That's the exact record of the Raiders. Would we think of Kansas City in there with the Raiders?
I guess we have to, huh? That just kind of shows you how quiet the Raiders have been since their last Super Bowl. That's hard to believe, Brett. I would have never thought that they would be 3-2 if they get over this one. It's hard to imagine the Chiefs were in 5 Super Bowls. That's, I think, the thing that really shocks me. I think of the early ones, and I guess they've had.
And then they went a while.
Yeah, they went a while.
They took a long break.
Yeah, and then you have the 2 with Mahomes, which that's crazy to think that this is Mahomes' 3rd Super Bowl. So it will be
his 3rd, and he's 1-1 And if he gets that one, but that'll be a lot of conversation for next week. But back to the Senior Bowl. The Will Levis love. He's there. He's at the Senior Bowl, isn't he?
He is not.
He's not. Okay. I don't get it. And at this time last year, I was consistent about not getting it with Malik Willis. This year, I don't get it about Will Levis. Look, I only saw Will Levis play in person one time. I only saw Malik Willis play in person one time that year. I didn't see anything in either one of them, and I'm going to end up being right about Malik Willis, and I think it will be about Will Levis. Tell me if I'm right or wrong, Bo.
I like Levis. I do. I think teams are I think they like his size, and I think that's the one thing that teams like to build around is that frame. This is going to be fun for us because he's one of the guys I like going into this draft class in terms of the quarterback. So we're going to have a fun time just joshing back and forth, Brett, on where he ends up and kind of how the roller coaster goes, and then the years after when he begins to play, if his career kind of pans out. So we're talking the quarterbacks, quiet quarterback class today. It's just Clayton Tune. I think he was on the American side. He did so. You got Duggan, the TCU kid, Dugan. He was down here. So a little bit of a lackluster class in terms, especially last year. And then they had some big names. And you think Jalen Hurts was down here a couple of years ago. So a little bit quieter than I think the quarterback room of the 2020. What year are we in? 2022? The 2022 Reese's Senior Bowl.
Talking to Bo Marchant from collegetopro.com and Sports Illustrated. Bo, I think one of the biggest offseason debates when it comes to quarterback rooms is going to be in San Francisco after kind of what Brock Purdy did in his short time. I know some people were talking about maybe they trade Trey Lance, or what they'll do next year. But with Trey Lance in there, with Brock Purdy, then obviously there's been some rumors maybe they bring Tom Brady in. What do you think San Francisco ultimately does, and who do you think walks out as the starter week 1 in 2023?
Well, I think it's how long it'll take for Purdy to get back if they go in that direction. I kind of favor the idea of Brady going there for 1 year. We all know he's a San Francisco, California kid. It seems like that was a place he kind of wanted to go before he went to Tampa. So I would put that on the table. It sounds far-fetched, but again, if you're in the moment and you want to strike gold, I mean, that window, even as good as the 49ers are, that window is very, very limited. And as great as Brock Purdy played, maybe teams figure him out. The second season isn't good. You just can't say, hey, we're going in, all in. And then they have Trey Lance. And you just write off the kid that you gave all this draft capital for. You just say, hey, you know what? Because the kid got hurt. It wasn't as if he played 15 games and he didn't look good. The Bears game, that was the first game of the year against Chicago. They lost, but that was a rain monsoon. I mean that was really wasn't a game. It was just whoever ended up just kind of winning that particular game. It wasn't like a X's and O's schemes where the best team won. And then he gets hurt, the ankle goes down, maybe 6 plays in the next game, and then Purdy comes. Well, Garoppolo comes in, and then Purdy. So 49ers have their option. But right now, I would say if I had to bet, I'm going to say Brady would be their quarterback. I just think it makes sense in terms of that team. He doesn't want to play for a team that's not going to contend. And the way the 49ers are built, I think it would be easy for Brady and the 49ers to see like this could be a match made in heaven.
Bo, the coaching hires today, we're up against the clock, but real quickly, your thoughts on Sean Payton to Denver and DeMeco Ryans that I just love to Houston.
I love both picks. I know they said DeMeco Ryans, I think, turned down the Broncos job. I didn't know why. I see the overall coaching, but I think that defense is sound. For DeMeco, I just wish him the best. That seems like a lot of work for any coach, no matter if you're young, old. A lot of work to do in Houston to pick up the pieces from what Bill O'Brien did. And then we're just going to rely on a Hall of Fame career by Peyton to assume that he's able to kind of pick up where he left off in New Orleans and turn that offense around and turn that team around. So I think both great hires. The one hire I thought was a little shaky was the Frank Reich hire. I thought they might stick with Steve Wilkes. I mean, I think they traded McCaffrey. Not that Mahomes was Mayfield was a superstar, but they got rid of Mayfield. They got rid of McCaffrey. And Wilkes, still had that team one game behind the Buccaneers for the NFC South division. So I thought he got the short end of the stick, especially with the way Frank Reich performed as a head coach in Indianapolis. But the other two hires I like very much in terms of Peyton and DeMeco.
I think you're right. I like both of them a lot. But, Bo, thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you again next Tuesday when we're gearing up for the Super Bowl.
Yes, sir. Stay safe, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you, too.
Thank you, Bo, so much. Bo Marchant with us from collegetopro.com and Sports Illustrated on all things the NFL. This hour of our show brought to you every day, and we're so pleased and so proud to have them with us again in 2023. That's DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road. Thank you so much, DeSoto Auto Sales. And that's what their customers say to them. Go online and read all the referrals from all the many pleased customers at DeSotoAutoSales.com and look at all those beautiful cars. Or visit them at 5704 Goodman Road. All the cars test-driven, all thoroughly examined, checked out bumper to bumper, unlimited inventory, every make, every model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll find that special car you want just for you. No shortcuts at DeSoto Auto Sales. You walk in, and you're treated like family by a kind, courteous staff, laid-back atmosphere. No high-pressure sales. The opposite of that is laid back. But they want you to find the car you want, and they know we live in a world today that time really matters. You find that car, and 45 minutes later, you're leaving because credit's been approved. You've drove the car, and all the paperwork's completed in 45 minutes or less. It's a guarantee at DeSoto Auto Sales. They keep it simple. They've got it efficient for you. 662-890-7184 and online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales. So we will have no new Super Bowl winner for this 21st century thing. I compiled all that for Major League Baseball, NBA, NFL, college football, and college basketball, and we got a big old 21st century sample size. It will stay at 13 different winning teams for the 21st century, with Philadelphia already having their one, and Kansas City, of course, with their one. The leader in the 21st century is New England with 6, then Baltimore, Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, and the Giants with 2, and then the ones with only 1, Indianapolis, New Orleans, Green Bay, Seattle, Denver, Philadelphia, Kansas City, and last year with the Rams. So 13. Baseball leads with the most different winners, 15. Then the NFL and college basketball tied with 13, college football with 12, and the NBA with 10.
Wow. I don't like hearing the winners in the NFL, or the Super Bowl winners in the NFL, because the Cowboys aren't in there.
Not one in the 21st century.
But next year's their year. It's gonna be next season.
Finally got rid of Kellen Moore. So
that was the problem.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Brian, don't the Cowboys get away with selling that though? Don't they have an active market of buyers of next year's the year?
American.
It's every year, isn't it? They're always a year away, Brett. It never changes.
Like the Knicks.
Yeah, kind of like the Knicks. Bigger than the Knicks, though.
This spring will be 50 years since the Knicks won it last.
Wow.
50.
But next year's their year.
Next year's the year.
That's right.
Always a year away.
And they do kind of get away with selling that sunshine. They do.
Yeah. The glory days back in the day.
There are Knicks fans that are pretty puffy. You last won it 50 years ago.
I didn't know it was that long ago.
But the thing about being a New York sports fan is you see me with my Rangers,
with your New York
Rangers jacket on now. One thing about being a New York sports fan is you're very arrogant. After every win, it's our year. It's going to be our year. But after every loss, nobody curses the team worse or more aggressively than you do. That just comes with the territory.
29 for the Rangers since their last one.
Since '94, right?
Yeah, that's 29, isn't it?
Rangers fans like me know that
they
kind
know
of information.
That stuff. Didn't you tell me that you were going to be a Giants guy now?
I have a Giants sweatshirt, but I'm like, you know that Rob Lowe picture of him wearing the NFL hat with the NFL logo on it?
That's you.
That's my NFL fandom right there.
Now, I was Giants guy for these two because of Eli, but I'm no longer a Giants
You
guy.
always pick a team. What was your team this year? Did you have a team this year, Brett?
Oh, I flipped and flopped all over the place like I always do.
Well, last year was Cleveland, wasn't it? You were a Cleveland guy last year.
I tried it with Cleveland. I've tried it. I can tell you now, maybe not next year. Let him win a little next year. In 2 years, when he gets improved, D'Amico Ryans will be my team.
Really? The Texans?
Houston will be my team.
Wow.
Remember this year I even started saying my Cowboys.
Oh, no, we were all on the Cowboys this year. Yeah. This was the year, but now it's next year.
I really don't think I'm ready to live in a world where Mike McCarthy has 2 Super Bowl rings.
It's going to happen.
I'm not ready to live in that world.
They just need one more year of Dak growing up. And
I'm uncomfortable that he has one.
You don't want him to get any more. Well, we need to get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11, here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Do you want a greener, more weed-free lawn? If you're like me, you can't stand the sight of dandelions, clover, or especially crabgrass. Hi, I'm Brandon Hawley, president of Lawn Solutions. We are your locally owned and operated weed control and fertilization company. We are also experts in disease and insect control on your lawn and landscape. Our uniformed technicians are full-time, year-round licensed and certified by the state of Tennessee. Lawn Solutions' personalized service is far more superior to that of national companies that promise but simply cannot deliver. We return phone calls, we keep appointments, and we want your business. What we will not do is bother you with endless phone calls or junk mail. Lawn Solutions will not sell you something your lawn doesn't need. If you're looking for a local lawn care company to kill your weeds and feed your grass, then Lawn Solutions is the finest. Call us at 867-5626. That's 867-5626. Or go online at lawnsolutionsinc.net. From our family to yours, we want to thank you for your business.
What does it feel like to file with TaxSlayer and get your guaranteed maximum refund? It feels like the last level of a video game, facing off against the final boss who stands between you and your refund.
All your refund has belonged to me.
Using the power of TaxSlayer like a secret power-up he doesn't see coming.
Only the most tax confident can defeat me.
Throwing your laptop at his video game face and watching him crumble into a giant pile of shiny coin tax refunds.
Oh, not fair. You use TaxSlayer.
Save up to 80% when you file with TaxSlayer. Start for free.
Do you have an invention idea but don't know what to do next? Call InventHelp today. We have representatives nationwide who will explain the InventHelp process step by step. Over 10,000 patents have been secured through InventHelp's patent referral services. The InventHelp Databank includes thousands of companies who have agreed to review new ideas. We've been helping inventors since 1984. Let's help you next. Get started today.
Call 1-800-217-4380. That's 1-800-217-4380. Again, 1-800-217-4380.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Willoshin here for Homer Skelton Hyundai. I love to brag about my friends right at the corner of Highway 78, Lamar, and the first exit in Mississippi, Craft Road. They always come up with some innovative program that makes you want to just go out and get your brand new car. And I'm talking Hyundais. Right now, you can get a new Santa Fe. You can get a new Tucson. You can get any brand new Hyundai, state-of-the-art technology. You can get that without paying for 3 months. You've heard me correctly. You can get a brand new Hyundai and not pay for 90 days. This just started. It's going all the way through January. You could say a Christmas present, a holiday present from Homer Skelton Hyundai. Again, make your deal, and then don't worry for 90 days about paying the very first payment, and only at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
We got about 30 minutes left on this Tuesday edition. Jay, is it still sleet raining outside? Or can you tell it's kind of dark outside now?
I was about to say, it's dark
I forget
now.
how dark it gets
It's
over
dark
there. There's
now.
no lights
My
back there.
weather update from the booth, it is now dark. So there you go.
Thank you.
Very good. Great
Thank you.
take.
Brian
That is-
Dacus.
That's
with
analysis
Brett
you just don't
Norsworthy
get
here.
anywhere right
I'm
there.
like a weatherman.
He's that's why he's here all day, because he gives us analysis like that. But you did tell me that you have an NBA stat that you've been dying to share all day. So
Literally.
I guess I'll
Literally all
give
day.
that
Thank
to
you,
you.
Brian.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate that.
You're
No,
welcome.
this is my stat of the day. And it's not a great stat, but I think it's significant in a certain way. So last night, the Magic played the Sixers in Philadelphia. They won. Last night, after beating the Sixers, the Magic are 15-11 in their last 26 games after starting 6-20. So Jamal Mosley's doing a really good job of getting them on the right track. I'm not sure how significant that stat is, but I've had it in my notes all day, and
We
I
wanna
thought
talk
this was
about
a good time to say
a good
it.
one.
Well, I think they're a really young team, and a team that seems to be a couple years away from kind of being a team that can get into the playoffs. They've got a lot of young guys, Wagner and
Both
Pablo.
Both
yeah, both
Wagners.
of them on there. One got suspended for a couple games.
He did. He did get suspended for a
But
couple games.
I like the Magic. I think they're a good young team.
Well, we're talking about how close the West is. The East is a little bit further out, but still, just looking at that 10th playoff spot, no, I don't think they're going to get it. But the Magic find themselves only 4 games back of even being in the play-in. So I don't think I think a lot of people probably would have put the Magic at the bottom of the East to start the season. So I would say that's a very significant number to even get them to that point. 15-11, your last
And do they
26.
really want to be in it?
Well, that's a good question.
question.
Everyone says they want to tank for Wembanyama, but I don't know how realistic that is.
I think
to be
they're
honest.
already a little far out for Wembanyama. Like, they're in that
Is-
weird spot where you're just kind of in no man's land, I feel.
Is it any team Wembanyama could vault from 20 wins to 50 wins? Kareem did it back a long time ago.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even think Wembanyama's the best player in the draft.
Who do you think, Scoot?
I watched Scoot Henderson play.
He's good.
I watched like clips of Scoot Henderson playing.
He's really good.
I get Victor Wembanyama's size and his skill set is like alien. But Scoot Henderson, in terms of just being a basketball player, is incredible. Like, this guy's going to be a
I
difference
agree.
maker for a franchise. Immediately the day he's drafted, I think he's the best prospect in the draft just for my money.
Well, we know in Memphis, don't be too disappointed if you don't get the hot guy of the day.
You're right.
We know it very well
We
here.
talked about it earlier because it was one of your big misses.
No. He's talking about Zion.
Oh,
I'm talking about Zion.
You're talking about Zion. I thought you were talking about
Ja.
Hasheem.
Well,
Yeah, you're right.
You could say that going to all these other drafts too. Getting the Mavs getting Luka Doncic, DeAndre Ayton goes first. With that, even that Hasheem Thabeet draft, if it's not being number one, James Harden goes later.
Right.
Steph Curry goes later. So there's all these guys you can get. You're right. It's not always. It seems like the narrative is pushing Wembanyama, and he's a very good player, and people see his size and skill set, and they say that's the guy. But if you really break it down, I think it's much closer than people think it is.
All right, let me refashion my question. Who is he a great first-year fit for next year? Who does he really help?
The Rockets.
You think so?
I don't know if he really helps him. That franchise
under
is
the foul,
I was
going to
say
anything?
the Rockets, but
that franchise is unhelpable.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy goes there. They're not going to play any defense as it is. It's a black hole to go to that franchise.
they'll be a fun team to watch.
He could help Charlotte.
Oh, he definitely could help Charlotte.
What is he going to help? Like, what's his skill set? What's he going to do? Like, what's he going to – he's a great player. What's he going to guard,
center,
though?
I mean,
he has so much development to go through before he's a significant contributor, I think.
Jay Morgan, if you think you can't teach 7-3, try teaching 7-5.
Yeah,
7-5 that can shoot.
They can shoot and dribble. No, it's a great point. And he's immensely skilled, but I don't see him at that size. Like, the reason why Paolo makes such a significant contribution right away is because that kid's huge.
Yeah, he is.
The reason why Jalen Duren is starting,
talented.
other than injuries, is starting in Detroit right now is because he's huge.
Well,
like,
but even
when you get
with injuries, he was on the bench. He comes in and is immediately a playmaker for them because of his size.
A great comparison, who's not nearly as good, and I'm not saying he is Alexei Pokusevski in Oklahoma City. Is that he, even though he's still a skinny little guy, he's gotten a lot bigger than he was last year in his minutes, although he's injured now, skyrocketed. He was starting for a period of time. So that 1 year of getting bigger is huge, especially for a guy with the builds of the Victor Wembanyama, or I'll even throw Chet Holmgren, who's hurt, into that mix as well.
And Jay Morgan last year, and it really started around this time, maybe a little bit later, more February 12th or so, just a little bit later. You know the comparison, and I'm going to stay with it, and I'm not going to run from it until I have irrefutable evidence against me. You know the comparison I had for Jalen Duren.
I don't.
Brian,
I don't remember.
You remember last year?
I do not.
When I went full KG.
Really?
I don't remember that.
I always said Dwight Howard.
Yeah, that's the one
I just think his I look at the guy's shoulders and he just looks like a
brick.
I know right now he can't do anything away from the bucket, but the young KD or young KG right out of high school, not that indifferent from Duren. It was really raw and just kind of around the back. It just kept scooting out more and more, though.
I'll tell you, I watched them play last night. Even more skilled now. Obviously, what are we? It's January 31st. So he's gone through the full summer. Duren, gone through the full summer and come to this point. How much, like, you can see on the court how much higher his basketball IQ has gotten, how much more skill he's gotten. There was a play yesterday, just the innate ball goes through the basket. He don't even let it hit the floor, takes it out of bounds, gets in it immediately, and boom, they're pushing in transition the other way. Those are
just
small things, but he's just, you can see him growing so much in that regard.
And Jay Morgan, I said that last year in reference to him at the end of the Tigers year and around the draft. By the end of the Tigers year last year, him going up against Gonzaga did not resemble how he looked down in Oxford with the 1 point.
That's absolutely. I mean, you can't argue that. He progressed so much in just 1 year, and especially in an NBA system. I mean, that can do worlds of things. But you talked about watching Scoot last night. I really haven't seen much of Scoot outside of a few games. Is he strictly a point guard, or can he kind of play off ball?
I think he can play. Well, I don't know if he can play. You don't see a lot of it.
Right.
He's playing in the G League Ignite right now. The traditional point guard. I love it. It's like my favorite thing in the world to see a guy play like that who's not like immensely big the way my two favorite young point guards in the league right now are Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and DeJounte Murray. So you can see what I like. These lanky guys that can see over everybody. That's not him, but he can still do things with the basketball, traditional point guard wise, and score at a really high level. I can't speak highly enough of this kid. For my money, it's bar none the best prospect in the draft. And if I was the GM and I had the number 1 pick, I wouldn't pass up on this guy.
So if you're Greg Popovich, the full last move he makes in this epic Hall of Fame, great career, all-time winningest coach, is it to draft Scoot or Wembanyama?
I'm taking Scoot.
That's tricky, though.
I'm taking Scoot. It's tricky.
That's a tricky question, though.
I'm taking – well, who would you take?
Because the original plan in San Antonio, it started with big, but the game changed, and that last great version in San Antonio was with a Tony Parker.
There's another – and that's a great – I'm so glad you brought up Tony Parker. This is I just saw an interview with DeJounte Murray talking about his time in San Antonio, that he understands what they're doing now, but they are very – and Kawhi's talked about this too. They'll mess with you. They'll mess with your head a little bit. They'll send you to the G League. They'll spot you minutes. And I'm not sure – nowadays, I'm not sure if any player is equipped to handle that. But a guy coming from overseas, although albeit he's been a pro for a while now, how well is a guy that's coming into a new thing that has all this hype around him?
He's been labeled a star.
How well equipped would he be to handle the mind games that Greg Popovich and that organization play with you? I'm not sure any of these guys would be necessarily.
Well, and not that, like, you care when you're making a pick for your franchise, you care about the fans at all. But I think the surrounding media and everything around the Spurs, if they go and draft Scoot, I think people are far more disappointed than if you draft Wembanyama. Just because
Tony
of what
Parker
he's been
was
turned into.
a piece to that puzzle. He wasn't the future. Admiral was, Duncan was, in their background, David Robinson coming from the Naval Academy, and then Tim Duncan coming from 4-year college player.
That's what they said. Yeah. It doesn't work without Tim Duncan. It just the whole thing does not work without Tim Duncan to make everything go in that. Not that Greg Popovich isn't a great coach, but it doesn't work without Tim Duncan. Another thing I was thinking of when you said that about the fans, and not just the fan support, but the fan pressure. And even though I dismiss it like that's stupid, they don't know what they're talking about sometimes.
It plays a role.
It's a very real thing, because if you take Scoot Henderson, and even I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to back down from this. Scoot Henderson is the best prospect in this draft. But you bet if you're the GM, it's a lot easier for me to say it sitting here in this producer's room.
It's a completely different conversation.
If you're the GM drafting him, you sure as heck better be right when you do that, especially if Wembanyama ends up being good.
Yeah. Because that owner really likes selling tickets and suites and skyboxes.
You betcha.
For, more than a year now, 2 or 3 years now, Victor Wembanyama's been the star.
And league passes in France.
Exactly. And I've seen that he's now – they're giving him social media access to kind of NBA, Twitter, and TikTok. And and so he's going on there interacting with people. I mean, he has been turned into a star before he's even on a team.
Telling you right now, we get G League. I don't know if G League Ignite comes to Memphis. I have no idea. They do
in a couple weeks. Yes.
I'm telling you what, right now we're going to find out what day that game is. Everyone needs to go see. Hopefully, he plays a good game. Needs to go see Scoot Henderson play, and I promise you, your eyes are going to be open to just maybe how close that gap is.
He's a playmaker,
and you'd really like to have this guy on your franchise if you're a fan. of
Jay Morgan, when I was talking earlier, and before the Grizzlies, and I'd kind of grown away from it. It was more when I was a child. My team was the Knicks in 71, 72, 73, because all my friends were either Lakers or Celtics. and
had to be different.
And I love Bill Bradley. I love Willis Reed. I love Clyde Frazier. So that was my team before we got a team in Memphis. But I was talking about the Knicks puffiness. Right now there's some Knicks fan at Penn Station getting ready to take those steps up to the Garden, going, "This is what the NBA is all about." Lakers and Knicks tonight at Madison Square Garden.
Hey, according to ESPN and TNT. It still might be, Brett. I mean,
LeBron's back.
I can watch the Knicks play on national TV almost every night, but I seriously, I love the Knicks right now. Not to be a New York sports fan, but I think there hasn't been a better time to cheer for the Knicks. I love their coach Thibodeau. You just got Brunson. Julius Randle is one of 3 players in the league, averaging 25, 10, and 5 assists. He's going to be in the All-Star game, even though he wasn't voted a starter. The Knicks, I don't think they can compete, but they're going to be in the playoffs, and there's nothing like playoff basketball in New York City.
Nothing like it.
And that's a little bit like AFC North football. The media will repeat that as long as they're in a series. Nothing like the magic of MSG in a playoff atmosphere.
The most famous arena in the world.
And it is great to go to a game there. It is.
Brett, you're going to like this. I love the Garden because they have an organist. And too many stadiums and arenas are getting rid of the organist.
It's real. It's not canned. It's not somebody hitting a soundboard. It's real.
Bring back
my favorite thing about the Garden is how low that ceiling is, and that theater lighting that they have, kind of dimly lit in the seating area, and the court, more illuminated, kind of like the Lakers setup when it's a home game for them. The Clippers don't have the same setup. They have all the lights on. But that feeling at a Knicks game in the Garden, it's right. It's sweet.
There's nothing like it. The Nets also tried to copy that theater style looking.
Yeah, they did.
But all they did was
too busy.
Yeah, a too busy court, and all they did was just black out the seats. So it's not the same. A lot of orchestration goes into the Knicks, and also they have an organ, and the Nets don't have an organ, and that's pretty much the difference.
I don't think the Knicks take the seating down as dimly lit as they used to. It's still a contrast, but I don't think it's as defined dim as it used to be.
Certainly not for hockey. As I sit here in my Rangers jacket right now, they don't do it nearly as much for hockey as they do for basketball.
I was sitting there in the Garden at a Knicks game, and I thought, man, what would it have been like to be here in the 70s? First thing, you wouldn't be able to see the other side because everybody'd be smoking.
That's a good point.
The whole place would fill up above the court. It would just be filled with smoke there. You mentioned Clyde Frazier. He still does. Or excuse me, Walt Frazier. He still does the MSG. He still does the MSG broadcast in his fancy tailored suits that he does every game.
He has the best suits.
Each one is more fancy than the last one. A Knicks legend.
Favorite tweet of the year, the Grizzlies only go there to play the Knicks once, and Knicks only come here once. But whenever it's that picture of Rob Fisher and Walt Frazier together,
two classiest guys out there in the NBA TV at least. Yeah, they're good. Well, let's get to our last break of the day. When we come back, we'll wrap it up with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hey guys, Platinum Jewelers wants to make you feel like a king or queen this holiday season and all year long. It's where the Tigers and Grizzlies go. Platinum Jewelers specializes in diamond engagement rings and customization, and they have a wide variety of watches, bracelets, earrings, and rings. They'll pay top dollar for your gold and diamonds, and wholesale pricing is available. Platinum Jewelers, 9387 Poplar Avenue in Germantown, next to Fresh Market. Call 901-907-0626. Platinum Jewelers, proud supporters of the Memphis Tigers.
It's time to get your Kia on at Gossett Kia on the Pike. And Bobby J is ready to put you in a new Kia today. You ready for a road trip? How about 41 MPG Highway and your new 2023 Kia Forte LXS? $254 a month, 36-month lease, $27.99 due at signing. Or rock out in your new 2023 Kia Soul. Only $272 a month, 36-month lease, $27.99 due at signing. And if we don't have what you want, not a problem. Let Bobby J order a new ride for you today, and you won't pay over MSRP. Plus, you always get Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Ask for Bobby J. He'll put you in a new Kia today at Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or shop 24/7 at KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Forte LXS PE 573-573, MSRP 21,335, Soul P 789,935, MSRP 21,835. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 1/31/2023. Dealer stock only. Warranties and limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
That doesn't sound good.
Paper shredder's jammed, but I think I fixed it.
Oh, well, try shredding these $50 bills then.
Seems like it's working.
Better try another $400.
Stop. Instead of using money, use regular paper. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary.
We told you this was going to happen, and now it has. The floor model sale is happening at Family Leisure. Lowest prices of the year on pool tables, on those wonderful spas, on patio furniture, state-of-the-art, and, of course, the game tables. Floor model arcades are now starting at $1,200. It's your last chance for a 2022 pool. And floor model trampolines are only $2,100. That's the installed price. Family Leisure, I-40 and Wooden Road, where family and fun come together.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! This is Geraldo. It is crunch time. You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins. It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, Brett, a couple things I learned today. The first being that Denver looks like they found their head coach in Sean Payton. I know ever since he got done with the Saints, it's been where is he going to coach next? A lot of people at first thought that he was going to be a Cowboy, and I kind of hoped he was going to be a Cowboy. But now it looks like Denver, after going after Jim Harbaugh, and I think over the weekend they went and met with him up in Ann Arbor, and now it looks like Sean Payton's going to be their guy. The second thing I learned today, Ryan Grubb's going to return to Washington as their offensive coordinator, and I think that Huskies team next year could be a very scary team out in the Pac-12 and a team to keep an eye on with Michael Penix back. They could be a dark horse for the playoffs next year.
And when we talked about in their bowl game, that was one of those bowl games that next year starts tonight, and they got that win, they got that double digit, and it was one of the – that and Oregon State, two of the quietest great years last year in college football, and it's because they play when we're all in bed.
That's exactly right.
Are all comatose from the day we've had in college football. I learned down 23 with 12:38 to play is almost impossible to come back from. But at home, Texas Tech, they did it last night against Iowa State. Iowa State really put it on them when they played in Ames, and we're putting it on them last night. Iowa State led by 4 with 40 seconds left, and then overtime was all Texas Tech. The Big 12's real good, but does it have the team that can win it all? KU won it all last year. Baylor won it all 2 years ago. We know that. But do they have a team that can win it all this year? I would bet no right now. Just the blanket no, and no's always easy to be. It's always easy to be the anti-guy. It is, but I would say no on Big 10 and Big 12 right now.
I think you're right. It's kind of always easier to take the field on that one. But what I could have done without is, first off, Jay, I owe you an apology. I gave Brett his apology earlier for Walker Kessler. I'll give you an apology now. Earlier today, if you were listening to Sports Time, Jay called me an idiot.
No, this is
on
Sports
the
Time.
I'm
This was
sorry,
Happy
Johnny
Hour.
Radio's Happy Hour. It's been a long day. You called me an idiot on the radio.
That was demonstrative language.
Because there is an ad.
But I praised him first, Brett. Don't let him fool you.
He did. It was a compliment sandwich. Because we run an ad for a TV show on Peacock called Poker Face.
That's right.
And I texted Jay and said that the main actress's voice is a little bit annoying to me. And Jay came on, called me an idiot, said it was a great show. Problem is, I hadn't watched the show when I made that text message. So I did my due diligence as a journalist. I went, I watched the show. I got to be honest, Jay, pretty good show.
It's just like Columbo, Brett. If you were a fan of Columbo back in the day, it's the same thing. It's awesome.
So I judged a book by its cover, and Jay, I apologize for that.
Apology accepted.
But what I also could have done without is it looks like Aaron Rodgers is planning to make his play or retire decision after the Super Bowl at the earliest. So it looks like we're going to have another circus again with Aaron Rodgers. I do love me some Aaron Rodgers, but the circus must continue, and it looks like we'll probably have another long offseason before we get an answer from A-Rod.
A lot of people in talk radio, they really dread the post-NBA time of the summer because they don't like baseball or golf as much as I and we do. Of course we will talk about it. Of course we will talk about Tom Brady. But I don't need that for summertime programming. A lot of people do.
They do, and I guess Aaron Rodgers thought he'd make their job a little easier.
Keeping up with the Kardashians.
That's right. Keeping up with the Rodgers. Except he doesn't
But
keep up with his family.
we're going to talk baseball, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. A whole lot of baseball.
I could have done without this from golf. We'll talk golf as well during the summer. Live Golf, backed by the Saudi royal family. They better tread real lightly in their latest legal maneuvers. There are a few groups that can go head-to-head with MBS and the Saudis, but Augusta National's membership role can. Liv should stop the suing stuff, and they need to get shed of Greg Norman right now, or it will never have any acceptance. He is the ultimate albatross boat anchor. Stop either the legal wrangling or the threat of, and get rid of Greg Norman, and you might get a little more acceptance. Now, those team names that Bubba Watson was talking about, I've heard fantasy football league names better than that.
All the kids love them, Brett. You don't know.
They're going to get all the kids. All the kids are going to be clamoring to go to the CW to watch some LIV
Hey,
golf.
I love the CW.
Do you?
Hey, great syndicated programming. Last show I watched on the CW was Reba.
So do you think this was a good move for Liv to get the CW?
No, they should have paid to be on Fox. They turned down Fox because Fox is going to make them pay. And
right now on the CW, the show is The Neighborhood. You ever watch The Neighborhood?
I do. I've watched all the seasons of The Neighborhood.
Never heard of The
Cedric
Neighborhood.
the Entertainer. Very entertaining.
Oh, I know that show.
Never watched.
Who else is in it? There's another guy in it.
Guy from New Girl. I
That's
can't think of his
right, because my girlfriend watches New Girl. So what we're going to keep an eye on tonight, NBA and a lot of college basketball. We already got one game tipped off, Mississippi State and South Carolina. South Carolina with a 1-point lead as both of those teams looking to get their second win in conference play. Wow, Mississippi State kind of a little bit of fall from grace since the start of SEC play. But also in the NBA, 2 TNT games. The Lakers versus Knicks will start us off at 6:30. Then at 9, Pelicans-Nuggets to wrap out the night.
That'll be a good one. Number 7, K-State at number 8, KU. Fog Allen will be rocking. Fog Allen night for the champs. Big 12, also in the Big 12, TCU hosting West Virginia. TCU season really took a hit with their star being injured. 4 SEC games. I'm sad I'm not in Oxford for our Big Blue Nation into Oxford. About as average as of a Kentucky team that's been to Oxford in a while against a thoroughly inept Ole Miss team. And tonight for that one, Kentucky a big favorite. Also, A&M at Arkansas, if they can get there, it's really treacherous in Northwest Arkansas. LBJ at MSG on TNT. We'll be watching. And Clippers, right now, 4th seed. They're in Chicago against the Bulls. You mentioned New Orleans at Denver. Go Pels, we need that. Yeah. More NFL hirings and firings we'll keep an eye on. And pretty quiet on the NFL front right now. Big thing, Hurts and Mahomes. They got to get rested and ready for Phoenix next week.
Jay,
you named the 2 NBA games I bet on tonight, Brett. How about that?
You want to give them out?
Give me point spreads and wagers.
I like the Knicks -2, and I like the under 225 in the Clippers Bulls game. Also, I like Kawhi Leonard to score over 26.5 points. I know that's weird with an under, but that's what we got to do tonight.
I love it. Did I hear you earlier say that our guys Kim Pomeroy and Greg both think the Ole Miss game's going to be closer?
Greg
than people
Peterson thinks it's a 5-point game, and Ken Pomeroy has it as a 3-point game. They're both saying take the Rebels.
Well, Vegas is giving you 7.
So I'm saying I think I might have to play that one too. There's another play for you.
You know, I'll be honest. They Ole Miss, they come out strong early, and then kind of in the second half they kind of start to fade.
Early
off.
in the season, it was the opposite.
It was the opposite.
It's a grind on offense for them.
It sure is.
Can they score 60 points tonight?
That's a good question. But also, Matthew Morrell questionable tonight. Don't know if he'll play or not. He's played a massive role for them this season. So it's going to be a question mark. Also, Jay, tonight you can watch Eastern Michigan. You mentioned them earlier. You thought Eastern Washington was them. You can watch them tonight.
I get them all mixed.
Against
Amani.
Ohio with Amani. They're 5-16, looking for their 6th win of the season.
Everything north of Kentucky to me is Canada.
Well, I guess that is north of Kentucky. So, but that's all the time we got today. I want to thank our guests, Dave Lotion, Brent Beard, and Beau Marchant for joining us. We'll be back here tomorrow for the Wednesday midweek episode of Sports Time. But until then, y'all have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow.